For champion race car driver David Donoghue. David, thanks ever so much for taking the time to talk to us. We've sprung this on you. Tell us about this awesome machine.
Well, this car, as you mentioned, won the Rolex 24 in January of 1995. It's based on a 962 Porsche, which was hugely successful through the 80s. Yeah. It's flat bottom, there's no tunnels, it's detuned a bit, only 530 horsepower, but still all liquid cooled, traditional Porsche flat six, twin turbocharged. Yeah. Fun to drive, nice, open cockpit. So you'd think you'd feel some air, but it's really hot inside. For some reason, there's no airflow, but it's good fun to drive.
Yeah, certainly in the California sunshine, you're going to get hot in there, but like you say, no airflow coming in through the cab. This one then doesn't get taken out around the track that often, doesn't get a chance to stretch its legs. It's part of a collection at Audrey Motorsport.
That's correct. So its home is Newport, Rhode Island, with Audrey Museum and Audrey Motorsport. We've got a pretty nice collection up there and a motorsport experiential program, which is what Audrey Motorsport is. And we're really cultivating the automotive culture up in that part of the world, which is where racing had a good start with the Vanderbilt Cup and a bunch of really early races in New England. And really where my dad started. My dad was Mark Donoghue, who won Indy in 72. And was Roger Penske's first driver as well. So a lot of history up in the Northeast.
Yeah, and yourself obviously carrying on the family tradition, a Le Mans winner yourself. Forgive me, one time or two time?
Once in class in 98. Yeah. Actually against Porsches, even though I'm kind of a Porsche guy. I was driving the Vipers for Orica. But then in 09 and 13, took victory at the Rolex 24, one in overall and one in class as well.
Yeah, an incredible achievement, and luckily still being able to get the call to come down here at events like this and get behind the wheel. So what is it like when you get back in the wheel of one of these things? It all comes just straight back, and it's just a great weekend to be driving.
Well, it's always great to drive these older cars. They've in my mind, they've made their history. There's only one kind of history a guy like me can make for them nowadays, and that's not a good one. So I just want to be able to experience the car and really not have the car experience me, if you know what I mean.
I do.
So, if we make a little bit of a show of it, it really depends on who you're driving around. Charles here in the Toyota, he's a good shoe, and Bruce Canepa's out there as well. Yeah. They love to have some fun, so it's all good.
They really do, and we love seeing you have some fun. So, David, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. We go from huge sports cars down here in the paddock to Kiri, who I understand has some bikers out in the pit lane.
Thanks so much, Kev. Yes, we are now in Velocity Lane. As always, it's the Baggers and Moto America. This is Andrew Lee. Andrew, I'm going to cop. How much are you looking forward to getting out on the track?
I'm looking forward to it. It's so fun to be out here with all these cool vehicles and get to ride with some of my fellow Moto America riders. So it's a cool opportunity.
Now, you're a Moto America rider, but you're on a Baggers bike today.
Yes, yep. It's a new experience for me, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet it is a lot of fun. Well, the whistle's blowing, so we'll move through what is Velocity Lane. All right, well, we have got Kyle Wyman as well. You went out yesterday. How was it? Looking forward to doing it again?
Oh, yeah, it was a great time. I love coming to Laguna Seca. Anytime we get a chance to ride around this famous road course is just a good opportunity. So, yeah, we got the factory Harley-Davidson out here. We had a good showing here in July, and fun to come out here with no pressure and just roll around with the super bikes. It's a unique opportunity.
Yeah, it is. How much fun is it to share the track with the Moto America boys?
Well, it's good. I get to race super bikes and baggers throughout the season, but today on the bagger, trying to keep up with the super bikes is it's a challenge. But we love great camaraderie in the Moto America Championship and just having a lot of fun this weekend.
All right, enjoy it out there. Thanks so much. Okay, well, Josh Hearn, this was the first time he was on the bike yesterday. How was it? Looking forward to getting back out again today?
Yeah, just trying to have some fun. Show these guys what the bikes are all about. We're, everybody here is just having a good time. We're kind of waiting on each other, messing around a little bit. So it's fun to be able to come here with no pressure and ride the bike and just enjoy myself and be around a bunch of cool cars. So I've enjoyed the event a lot, and hopefully we can come back next year.
Yeah, indeed. All right, thanks so much. Okay, well, we're going over to David Anthony. You went out yesterday. You're sitting at the front of the group, which is a nice place to be to hang out with these guys. What did you make of Laguna Seca yesterday?
Yeah, this place is great. Every time we come here, it's such an enjoyable track, such an iconic track. So anytime we get to ride it, it's exciting. And to be here at this event makes it even better. You know, you can see some of these guys really enjoy watching us out there, so it makes it better when we come back in.
Okay, well, every time I talk to anybody, they go, he's the Aussie. So what do you make of racing in America?
I am the Aussie, but I've been here a long time now, so I've almost blended in that no one even knows anymore. So America's my home.
You're an honorary Aussie now, I see. Okay, all right. Well, Josh Hayes, we spoke to you yesterday. You're a legend amongst these parts. How much fun was it out there yesterday?
Oh, man, like I get to ride a super bike around and show everybody how these things go around and let them see the acceleration of a super bike up the front straightaway and maybe do some wheelies up the hills in the back and stuff like that. And how could it go wrong? How lucky did we get with this weather this week?
Yeah, the weather's perfect as well. This track's very, very fast out there, so always so much fun to head to Laguna Seca.
Of course, who wouldn't enjoy it? I like this area so much I came and got married here 14 years ago. So not here at the track, but yeah, I mean, it's fun to do this in front of a new crowd and show everybody what it's all about, and hopefully we can pique some interest and get them to come check it out a little bit more later.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Everybody's loving it. Thanks so much. All right, well, we'll head over to our last of our riders because we're almost out of time. Bobby Fung, was it fun yesterday?
Yeah, it was amazing. It's good to get out there, show these car guys what we're all about, and we're going to do it again today and try to do some fake wheelies, and put on a show for these guys again.
Well, sharing the track with the baggers, is that quite a lot of fun?
Yeah, it's cool. These guys are my buddies behind us, and it's always good to share the track with your buddies.
All right, enjoyed out there. Thanks so much. Okay, well, it's probably about that time that we hand back up to Johnny and Adam. And Adam, I know you're going to be speaking to Wayne Rainey hopefully a bit later on.
That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see what happens. I'll cross my fingers. Any chance I get to talk with the legend, the 3 times MotoGP world champion Wayne Rainey, it's always a privilege.
Yeah, I know all of these guys, having worked with Moto America over the years. Aussie Dave, as he's known, Dave Anthony, and of course, my favorite, Josh Hayes, and of course, Kyle Wyman, Bobby Fong. They put on a great show. I know you're a huge motorbike fan, and it's a joy always to watch motorcycles race. But these Harleys, they look unwieldy, but not in the hands of these guys.
No, right? I mean, these things look like, you're right, just absolutely. But when these guys get in there, they're dragging their knees and elbows just like they're on a super bike. It's pretty spectacular to see, and I make no bones about it. I think motorcycle racing is the most exciting form of motorsport to watch. I think, especially at its highest level, no matter where you're watching, whether it be Moto America and this great series and what they're doing to rebuild American greatness in the motorcycle world, and what we've once always had in the reign with the Wayne Raineys and the Kenny Roberts and the Eddie Lawsons and the Nicky Hayden's, Kenny Roberts Jr. I mean, the list goes on and on of American riders, but here right now at the top level of motorcycle racing on the world stage, we don't have any presence. And we have some Moto 2 presence with Cameron Beaubier, who's 5 times Moto America Superbike champion, I believe, and then you got also, of course, you have Joe Roberts over there.
And Cameron Beaubier.
And yeah, that's what I just spoke of, right, 5 times.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I was going to say Garrett Gerloff is the other one.
Oh yeah, Garrett Gerloff, yeah, good call. Yeah, I forgot about Garrett. But
don't forget about Garrett, our Texas boy.
Yeah, he's in Superbike. So
yes,
he is at the top level of Superbike. But
but he did a one-off MotoGP this year.
He did. But these are my heroes. I think the guys that hike a leg over these machines, especially go around a challenging circuit like WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, it sends my blood boiling.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how the sort of juxtaposition, and most of you will probably know of the Moto America series, but won't necessarily understand why the baggers are out there. Well, this is something Wayne Rainey came up with, and very smart move by Wayne. He's a smart hustler and businessman, is Wayne. But he pointed out that Harley-Davidson, of course, is sacrosanct in America. That's what people know. That's what people ride on the roads. But more importantly, when you look at the heritage of motorcycle racing in this country, Harley is at the very center of it, mostly on dirt track racing, but they have gone road racing as well. And in fact, that is a sort of homage to that. And the baggers, as it will be, are going to Bike Week in Daytona next year. So they did 3 races last year. It's already proved a success, and they're taking it to Daytona, and there's going to be 6 races. And because there is a huge audience of hog fans, as it were, Harley-Davidson fans, And they have a huge heritage. I remember when Harley came back to road racing with Scott Russell about 20 years ago, and about 15 years ago, I say. But Harley is at the heartbeat of all motorcycle racing, and so therefore an audience that Wayne wanted to tap into for Moto America, and he said in the first week of them announcing it, they had 125 media applications alone.
Yes, it's so exciting, and never been done before. It's almost like when people first discover sidecar racing, which is so popular over in Europe.
Yeah.
When an American first discovers that, they're like, "Have you seen this new thing? It's the craziest thing I've ever seen." And it's like, no, that's actually existed for quite a long time since motorcycles have been around. But this King of the Baggers is completely fresh. No one has ever done anything along these lines. I see this as being a new class at the Isle of Man TT. I see this as being a new class just in so many areas. And we're going to do a mock start here.
I love that.
On the front. Yeah, you're going to get me to stand up for that, that's for sure.
Right in front of us. And I'll tell you what, there's some pretty handy riders out there. You've got a multiple Superbike champion and MotoGP man, and, well, he's pretty much done everything. He's done Le Mans, 24 hours, Josh Hayes. You've got David Anthony, who, as you heard, Aussie Dave, has been racing here for 20 years. He's got his own team now. Kyle Wyman, we had his wife up here in the booth earlier yesterday, and Hannah Loper, her name, and she is part of Moto America too. And the Wymans, a big part of motorcycle racing here in the States. And you've got Josh Herron, one of the most exciting riders of the current Moto America scene. So, yeah, it's a good representation here.
Yeah, this is exciting. They're all lined up, getting ready here for a mock start. This is...
Wow, oh, look at that Ducati go.
That Ducati launched, didn't it?
Woo, baby!
That's that V formation engine that's giving that torque off the bottom line.
Yep.
You saw that the Harleys, too, with their twins, they got off the line quite well, too, in comparison to the Superbikes.
Into Andretti they go, not holding back, knee down and bum up, as we used to say. And if you're wondering how the baggers get their knee down, and don't be thinking they don't, we went and had a look at some of these bikes. They have a trick way of moving everything up, and I'm talking rear brake, the gear levers and everything, so that they can lean those bikes over further than perhaps they were designed for, and that allows them to race a little like a superbike, but obviously the superbike boys get a little bit further over. You can see it looks unwieldy, but look how close and how down low to the ground they can get. Absolutely superb.
And you can see how they do that, actually, where you would see it normally, it would be down lower than where the exhaust comes out, where their feet pegs would rest in a real relaxed position, but this is, you got to be in a sporty position to ride these as sporty as these riders are riding them.
Yeah. I don't advise you to go out on your on your home Harley Davidson and try this through the corkscrew, but these boys know what they're doing. Don't they try this at home, as they say on the ad.
I'm going to tell you what, you're going to see, I think this is going to be a new wave of like a sport bike crossover to a saddlebag touring bike, and I think that's going to be you're going to be able to credit one day this really unique and intelligent group at Moto America who brought this together.
And it's a real demonstration perhaps, but it's also a demonstration of what Wayne Rainey and his team at the Crave Motorsport have achieved in the last 5 years of bringing superbike racing back to America, because it had almost gone away in many ways, and it just wasn't getting the popularity that it had some 20 years ago when the likes of Matt Milan and many others were hooning around the circuits of America. But Moto America, almost built from scratch by Wayne Rainey and his team, have put together some great riders. They've had world champions like Tony Elias coming over to race against the Americans, and we produced our own great stars, and the best perhaps now at the moment, Joe Roberts, currently in Moto 2. And just as I was mentioning Hannah Loper, I don't know how I'm doing this.
On cue.
Did I not mention the young lady that is Hannah Loper not 20 seconds ago? And boom, it's like Bewitched.
It's almost like we're over the loudspeaker.
She just went like this with her nose, and here she is. Hannah, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How's it going?
How's your boy out there? He got a heck of a start.
Really enjoying himself right now. Ready for them to get some track time without a lot of pressure.
Yeah, no question. So, Hannah, you work with Moto America, and I was just saying what a job that Wayne's doing, and I think this demonstration just shows you how far we've gone in the 5 years. You joined us, 2 years in, I think, and then I started out Adam's a big fan of superbikes, but we've seen it go back to the prominence that it started, or it had, years ago.
Yeah, I mean, being in the paddock the last 5 years in a reporting capacity as the pit lane reporter for the series, it's been really incredible to watch how it's grown over the last 5 years. You know, the number of entrants that we've had across all classes has increased. We have now different various support classes between the Royal Enfield Build Train Race program. We've now got our King of the Baggers series. We've got our Ovale Mini Cup, in addition to our 5 other support classes. So it's just a really incredible opportunity from riders all around the country, and we do attract talent from all around the world to our series as well.
Well, tell us who that talent of the future is. I'm going to think of someone like Rocco or a few others, but who should we be looking at to be the next Wayne Rainey, the next Kevin Schwantz?
You know, there's, especially in our junior cup, because it is our entry-level class, essentially, as far as professional licensing goes. Some young talent this year. You know, we had Cody Wyman, the third Wyman brother. Incredible season for him this year, you know, so hopefully he's got some plans for the future. You've got Kayla Yakov, who's an up-and-comer. She came from our mini cup, and she's now racing in our junior cup. Just 14 years old, found her way to the podium this season.
That's a good age
so
to be
it was incredible
at that level.
to watch. Yeah, just so
Where's
many.
she from?
Kayla, I'm not sure.
She's American.
She's American,
Good.
yes. She was racing in the R3 Talent Cup in Europe as well. So we see a lot of these young kids try their hand internationally, and they find their way back to our series because the level is just so competitive here as well.
I was at MotoGP in Coda, and I saw these junior racers, for the All-American Racing Academy. And I saw him out in the parking lot, and this young kid, Travis Horn, had his own business card. And he hands it to me. He's got his resume on the back. And, I mean, and these are kids that are walking around with the belief that they are the next world champions and national champions, and I love it. It's just great to see, but it's great to see that there's that outlet, too, for them, that they can race right near the big stage of their heroes and be in front of that audience and help advance their careers, because that's what this is all about, is trying to build that ladder system, because that's where Europe is dominating right now, is those kids are on those mini motos, very young age. Even the MotoGP riders, they hop on the mini motos to train because it's just a cheap way to train.
Yeah, you know, you see some of our superbike riders have those Ovale mini bikes, and they do some training on those as well. But Moto America really creates a good platform for the kids to kind of cultivate their talent as they grow up, you know, and get a little bit older. I mean, Sean Dillon Kelly came to us at just 16 years old, spent several seasons in the paddock, won a championship with M4XR Suzuki, and now he's on to Moto 2 with Cameron Bobier. So it's just a testament to what Moto America really wants to accomplish. We are the premier road racing series in the United States, but we also want to see our riders go on to join the world stage and perform at that level.
Good opportunity here, because this is a car crowd, generally speaking, but do a plug for where they can watch Moto America, i.e. the circuits and places you're going, where they can see it on TV, because now, like I said, it's gaining a real re-emergence as being that premier series that it should be.
Of course, there's no live racing during our off-season, the winter months. You know, we don't get started till Daytona in March here, but our Moto America Live Plus streaming platform is still available. All of our races are on there, as well as the Moto America YouTube channel. You can go and check out all of our stuff, including our we did this season, Inside Moto America Pressure to Rise.
Of which you are part.
I had a big hand in that this season, producing and conducting a lot of the interviews and such for our Superbike riders. But it's just really cool to see some of these guys out here today. You got Josh Hayes riding Jake Gagne's championship bike.
Yeah.
You can see Josh Heron having fun on that before.
That is so
Josh Heron's playing out there a lot.
David
He's having
Anthony,
a heck of a good time.
you know, Kyle Wyman on the bagger, of course. Last time he was here, he had the broken elbow, and it's really nice to see him, you know, be able to enjoy some laps here and not be in so much pain.
Right.
Bobby
And more
Fong.
importantly, inspiring young women to get out there. Yourself, you're now getting your leg over and going out there.
It is. You know, I think there's a lot of opportunities, and a lot of times women don't realize that, you know, we can do whatever anybody else can do, and there's no reason. But, yeah, it's been nice to have Kyle teach me how to ride around, and I've got a bike of my own. But I was really inspired by – I just got a little Yamaha R3.
Those are
Nothing
great.
wrong with that.
Those are
Perfectly
great.
stock, but yeah,
those
you know,
are great.
Kyle's got me following him around. But yeah, Moto America has definitely been huge as far as my own riding goes, because I can't just let these guys have all the fun. You know what I'm saying?
Come and join me at the boot camp at Colin Edwards, and I'm going to bring Adam
I'd
down
love
there. He
to.
wants to go.
Sounds
It
like a
is
plan.
a blast, and we sit around and drink beer and tell stories, and then we go out on 125s. I mean, there's nothing to be frightened of, but he takes the knobblies off and puts road tires on the back, and that makes it a little harder.
See, that'd be fun. Yeah, no, that sounds like a great time.
On the
Sounds
front,
like-
I should say. Excuse me.
Yeah, right. No, that sounds like a really good time. But yeah, Colin Edwards sounds like he's just fun to be around, period.
Yes, exactly. All right, we'll take a Short pause, but more action to come from Velocity Invitational. So, Laguna Seca in its full glory here in November. A beautiful day here at Laguna Seca. And as you can see, a buzz down there in the Sip and Savor paddock. And we're starting to get a good crowd here this afternoon. Not many people in the stands, but that's not the point. We don't want them in the stands. We want them here in the paddock, looking at cars and enjoying what there is to enjoy. The merchandise stand right there in front of you on the left-hand side. You've got the hospitality, you've got the driver's lounge, and of course you've got Formula One cars. Mika Häkkinen's here, Stefan Johansson, Josh Hayes, and they'll all give you an autograph or two. If you ask politely. I remember being that little fella that did that, carrying my little book around going, can I have an autograph? You could see me annoying people, couldn't you?
Annoying people, but I could see you there with your little book. I could see a little Johnny Green. Dad. Yeah. You know, it almost reminds me, like I envision almost like a Mike Myers in the Love Guru. You know, your body is smaller, but it's the same head and face on the child's body.
Well, I was a little cutie too back then. I had my little curly hair, and you couldn't say no to an autograph from a little fella that really. Of
course not. No, of course not. It was
snot dripping out my nose and my trousers undone and all that sort of stuff.
My brother John used to use his good looks as a young boy, and he would go. He would go check out, and he would get some neat leaves, and he would sell them to the neighbors, and also some icicles would find the same thing.
Let's head down to the paddock again and find out what the latest is and what the buzz is down there.
Lovely, thanks, Johnny. Well, I am down here in the paddock. The engines are still hot. The drivers are still perspiring. I've got Bert Skidmore, not a made-up name, amazing race car driver, and Michael Doyle. These guys were just going wheel to wheel around here at Laguna Seca. Bert, you've got the Iso Grifo back there. Michael, you've got the E-Type. Who came off better?
I came off better today, but Michael came off better yesterday.
Is that fair?
Well, you should have seen him push a couple cars out of the way on the straightaway into turn 2.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And the great story is these guys obviously racing side by side, but it's Intrepid Racing that actually did the rebuild on this one, didn't they?
That's correct, yeah. So we're going to have to slow them down next time. We're going to disconnect a spark plug wire or something like that.
Fantastic stuff. And Michael, we chatted to you at a historic event here at Laguna Seca a little while ago. I think it was back in August. This is quite the car. 1961 E-Type Jag, and what's under the hood is completely different to anything else you're going to see under one of these.
Well, it's just the original 3.8 liter running 48 millimeter Weber carburetors, and when Bert got the car, it was easy. He could see how it was raced, and he restored it. Bert, restores a lot of cars, such as the GTOs you see over there. So I think he gave me some special things in this car. It runs well.
It does run really well, and the great story is as well, and Bert, you'll know this, Michael's sons have got another E-Type Jag that they use as their daily drivers. Have you seen that, or do you look after that?
I have seen it. I don't. Michael does. He keeps it down here in Monterey. We're from Reno, Nevada, so he keeps it going down here. Nice car.
Really nice car, that one too.
Yeah, so that's a great car. It's chassis 30. This one's 334, but this car went to Bert before this event, and now I was wondering if he should have had John work on it.
What does it take to work on a car like this, Bert? I mean, there's not the original. Let's pop the engine, actually, Michael, because we'll just take a quick look at the engine, if we can, because I want to ask you what it takes to work on an engine like this, because this isn't what you'd ordinarily expect under the hood of an E-Type.
It's a dual overhead camshaft engine, which is probably the biggest valves that we can put in the cylinder head. It's got like 12.5 to 1 compression. It does need to be freshened now, and we can go probably a little bit higher on the compression and maybe get a few more horsepower. But if I'm going to be driving the ESO, I don't know if I want to do that.
I wouldn't. Michael, are you out in it again today, or is that you done for the weekend?
This was our final race for today.
A great swan song and a great event here at Laguna Seca.
This event is great. I mean, you look down this aisle, from Cobras to GTOs, another Jag, the ESO, Healey's, Mustangs, Shelby's. I mean, I think that one, Cobra Bert, is Goodwood quality.
That coupe, yeah.
There's so many cars here that are good with quality.
Jeff O'Neill's put a great show on. This is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah,
It's wonderful. I hope he does it again.
Great stuff. Listen, on that note, guys, we'll wrap this up because I know Kiri, our pit lane reporter, is out and about catching up with some other races here at this great event. Michael, always a pleasure. Great to see you. And Bert, thank you so much.
Get him next time.
He's going to get him next time. What do you make of that, Kiri?
Yes, indeed, we were hoping to catch up with some of the drivers, but as their engines start, it will not be possible for them to hear us. So just take in the noise and the spectacle that is the Formula One cars from 1966 to 1980. Now, this is probably one of the most notorious liveries of all time, the John Player Special, the Lotus John Player Special. Now, the lucky man behind the wheel is Chris Locke, but as we move down, Richard Grit will be driving the 1974 March, the 741, which is spectacular in that orange there. Now, all of these liveries you'll remember, but this one in particular is just so special, isn't it? The Niki Lauda Ferrari. Now, that is the 1976, so I don't need to give you much information on that. You know exactly what that is. All right. Well, we move down the grid. Number 71, the Shadow, 1976. And then the same again from the Shadow, but this one a 1975. All smiles there from Bill Jordan. And then this is the James Hunt Marlboro car, the Williams of 1980. Well, it does. The noise gives you goosebumps, and the names do as well, from Niki Lauda to James Hunt. This is Formula One history complete on this velocity lane. Now, the men behind the wheel will be very, very nervous to be heading out on that Laguna Seca track. These Formula One cars are raw and as lively as they can get. So I'll hand up to Johnny and Adam, because the sound and the energy down here is just magnetic.
Thanks, yeah, Kerry, never easy when the Formula One cars start up, so well done. But yeah, we just saw the march there with Hans Stuck on the side. Do you recognise that name on the side of that car, Adam?
Oh, it's spelled correctly and everything. You know, I love that. No, it's beautiful to see that sight. That is the car that won the Japanese Grand Prix in 1976, the year that James Hunt sealed his one and only world championship, and that race was made famous to even the casual race fan by cinema, by the movie Rush.
Yeah,
big thumbs up there.
Great job by Ron Howard on that.
Did a brilliant job. Yeah, that's the best modern racing movie by far. You got Steve Romack. He is there in 1976 March 761. He's
won yesterday.
Roll. Yeah, he's been dominant. He's been dominant, that little guy there. And Chris Locke there rolling away.
Well, we had Zach Brown up here earlier, and he should be out in that Williams, the Alan Jones Williams. So we'll see if he makes it out there. Busy day for him.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it certainly is. You also have Chris McAllister. He's from my hometown there, Indianapolis, Indiana. He's in that famed Ferrari 312T. That's a beautiful, beautiful car. That was for the defending championship year. That would have been 1976. 1976 for that car. It was a beautiful Ferrari, driven by the great Niki Lauda. He's got a period correct helmet as well. The number 71, Dalmo Di Vasconcelos. He is, that is in a 1976 Shadow DN5.
Like it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we saw Bill Jordan off also in the Shadow DN5 1975. And that was a test car, basically, during the 1975 Grand Prix season. No mistaking that, though, as Kiri quite rightly pointed out. One of the most unmistakable cars in the world, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
That Ferrari?
Yeah, that Ferrari is certainly a piece of history, and proudly owned by Mr. McAllister. I know that he really takes a lot of pride. The cars that he owns, he really owns a neat history list. of incredible vintage cars. So happy that he brought this one out here for the Velocity Invitational.
Yeah, race. This is chassis number 26 or 026, raced by Nicky in 76 and 77, winning at Belgium and Monaco. Definitely one of the very special cars. But interesting, when you get up close to it, it's quite a surprise to see just how little space and how simple it is, and how little time and room Nicky had inside that cockpit. Yeah, and likewise how high James Hunt was sitting up in that McLaren.
Right. I mean, you're looking at a little 3-liter V12, you know, and making 475 horsepower out of that little Ferrari engine. And you got to imagine how small the cylinders are in a 3-liter V12 to be able to get that kind of displacement. But that's what makes that great sound as well. But as you mentioned, too, that McLaren M23, and that's just the opposite, right? That's a V8, but producing the same amount of power, but still a 3-liter engine.
Now, do we think that Zach, because he did say he was going to drive the McLaren?
I believe he was going to drive one of the modern cars.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Just wondered if he'd thrown himself in the old car.
I do believe because he's got his own 1980s Williams.
Yes, but I haven't seen it yet.
W07B.
Yes, but I haven't seen it in this so far in this group lining up. But we're getting ready to go for our historic Formula One. These are cars from 1966 to 1980, pretty much my era. I was born in 66, and here we go.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the Williams made it out there. It might have been something unfortunate that happened, but this is a good race going down into turn 2 there, the hairpin. Gonna be hard on the brakes.
Well, the March won yesterday and already in the lead.
Kicking a little dirt up there at the first apex. It's going to definitely throw a little bit of a psychological mix into it for Chris Locke. Steve Romack out there in the lead there in that March 761.
Yeah, and those of you who know your racing, Hans Stuck on the side of that car. And, of course, that was driven in the 74 Formula One season by Hans, the German. March 741. I know, yeah. Great guy.
Phenomenal human being. Yeah, we love Hans Stuck. So this is Group 6, race number 2. This is 1966 and 1980. Historic Formula One cars. So this is, again, just what a sight to see. The sounds, though, man, the sounds of Formula One in the 70s and 80s.
This car that the McLaren you were just talking about was driven by James Hunt in 77, and with great success, South African Grand Prix Kyalami. He finished 4th from pole, and the car's best result in the World Championship race. So that's the car that James Hunt pedaled around, Kyalami. Hunt followed up with a 7th place finish at the US Grand Prix at Long Beach, just down the road, in April 1977.
Good history there. It's a really sharp-looking car coming up there. I will admit, orange is not one of my favorite lines of that particular car. That is really always one of my favorites out here, is that March 761.
Yeah, you know, you talk about a good bit of history. McLaren, I hadn't realized until this weekend just how much success in their 55-year history they've had. They've won in the US 8 times, with 2 wins at Long Beach, the one I just mentioned, and at Detroit. Obviously, Watkins Glen, Phoenix, Indianapolis, and COTA, lest we forget, in 2012. And Can-Am, and IndyCar, of course. So McLaren have got more than perhaps you kind of first of all think about when you think of McLaren.
Chris Locke is really hustling this thing. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree on the McLaren thought there. But, yeah, Chris Locke is really hustling that Lotus 77 around WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, making the best work of this. He is not letting Steve Romack get away at all. And this is really a heck of a battle between the top 3 here with Charles Neerberg in that 77 McLaren M23. Ooh, getting wide there.
Whoa! Go, son. Go on, Charles. James would have been proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the sort of thing he did.
That was a Hunt move if I ever saw one.
Yeah. Hunt the shunt, they call him, but I'm glad to say it didn't end like that.
Much more conservative on the exit of 12, I noticed.
Yes.
That's a lot more track on the track out there. So trying to just reel it in here and pull it back together.
You'll appreciate this. When Mario came and drove a similar Lotus to kick off COTA back in the day, back in 2012, he did the opening lap, and as of course he should. And I was there to greet him as he got out of the car, and I said, what was it like to be reunited with this car? He said, oh, It's like an old girlfriend.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So you can imagine Mario. He was all smiles.
Oh, for sure. No, he loves being reunited with these old cars. He only has possession of one of his race cars that he ever drove, and that's the last Indy car he drove that he retired in 1994, the Lola.
Where does he keep it?
That's in his garage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Takes it out on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, he just goes out.
For coffee?
Takes it to church. It goes to Sunday Mass.
Yeah, I've got that. So the march leads from the Ferrari, as it did yesterday. The Jägermeister painted.
What a race with the top three here, though.
Yeah, beautiful. And we reckon we've got a lap record for a Formula One car at 1:10 here today. So unofficially, mind you.
Again, this was off my thumb. I want to make very clear this was nothing official. Now that car has data on it, so down there in that paddock, they have an official time. But I do love Pato's boss, Zach Brown's response to that. Really simple. Well, he's trying.
You know, the irony is you've got Parnelli Jones, you've got Shadow, obviously the Eagle. But Americans in this period didn't have such a big show. And ironically, though, it was absolutely dominated by Ford engines.
Yeah, absolutely it was. Yeah, it was the Ford, the DFV engine was the famous engine. And that was what was beautiful about that era of Formula One. You could basically pull one of those engines off the shelf and design a car around it. Unlike the Ferrari there, which is their own from the ground up. Right?
Of course.
Obviously, they're not going to buy a Ford engine. You're not going to find Enzo buying a Ford engine to put in the back. No. But that's why it was always that unique. It wasn't until the rules wrote out the V12. Otherwise, I'm quite confident that a Ferrari Formula One car would still have a V12 in the back.
You know, we're sadly missing Niki Lauda, and I'd love to sit down with someone like Lewis Hamilton, because that Mercedes team with Niki around and with, you know, almost tutoring and mentoring Lewis in his heydays was such a character, and I know Lewis just felt very special to be around him. We've seen the film, we've seen the movie, we know all about Niki, but these latter years of his career when he was an ambassador, very special to him.
Yeah, he was obviously instrumental in the choice of Lewis, the jump for Lewis to make. You know, at the time he was jumping from a very competitive McLaren package into a rather unproven Mercedes-Benz package, but nobody had a proven package for the rules. You know, the new rules that were going to come out with the hybrid technology, and so I believe Niki lifted up just enough of the skirt of what was going on over there, and Lewis liked what he saw and made that commitment. But we're looking at the 1975 Shadow. Oh, we got a little
Hey, the other Shadow's gone into the shadows.
I thought I had heard a little bit over the mic about some little gravel trap action, but the shadow of the shadow.
The shadow of my smile. I won't sing again, I promise. Yeah, like we said, that one of those shadows was a test car. I'm just looking at, and it was Richard Griot at the wheel who came by, and then the one that was off was, Griot was the one off, and I think the DN5, the test car went through. So that was the one that went into the gravel, was the 76 shadow,
Damo.
There's Jordan off, he's ahead, yeah, he didn't have a problem. When I see those big air intakes at the top, I always think of 5000, but of course, that design, that look, very much a part of the American scene, 5000.
Yes, the Formula 5000, I mean, that was American Formula One car.
Yes, it basically was.
You know, it's a 5-liter engine, and they were monsters. That was a series that I have yet to have anyone answer to me why it disappeared.
Yeah, I'm buying a book this Christmas on the history of 5000 in the States, because Brian Redman had a huge part in that, three-time winner of 5000, and I just really want to, like I say, understand that, because there is no real... There is a 5000 series in New Zealand and Australia, I believe, so they've kept it going.
No one's ever given me an answer.
It's a good, and why? It's perfect.
I really wanted to bring it back with the Dallara. The Dallaras that were exhausted after, you know, with the new DW12 that came in, the current Dallara that they're racing in IndyCar. I thought it'd be great to take those cars, just make a spec engine package, a big American V8 engine, take the cowl off of it, put a big engine scoop, put a big intake scoop over the top, and call it Formula 5000, the renewal. And I thought that would have just been a way fun series to watch happen.
Well, I always hate the fact that there's so many talented drivers who are young and just past their prime who aren't racing, who probably kind of still do want to race, but aren't in a competitive car. They would love to jump at a series like that. When I think of some of the reserve drivers, both in Indy and in Formula One, there's a plethora of talent. I mean, think about what Hulkenberg and I don't know who else. I mean, many. Can you imagine Conor Daly ripping around in one of those or whatever?
No, I'm telling you, it would be a really positive series. I think it would be a big output. I think a lot of interest would be in it, but you never know. It always takes, like anything else, it takes money and commitment from a lot of people to make something like that happen. As we see, Chris Locke having really wrestling around that Lotus 77, doing a heck of a job.
Well, he just did his fastest lap of this race at 125.7 on the last lap out there.
It's got a 10-second gap, though, to Steve Romack. Steve Romack, right around the middle part of this race, really turned up the wick quite loudly and took off and did not want to make this too much of a race towards the end.
What a coup to get Mario back in the day. Do you know the story of how that happened?
Between him and
Colin
Chapman. I don't know the exact off the top of my head, but I do believe it was the end of the Valles Parnelli project. They wouldn't be able to move on. I believe it was funding issues, and Mario and Colin Chapman had struck up a relationship in Indianapolis in 1965. And my Uncle Mario made a statement to him then saying that I will drive for you in Formula One day. And Colin said we need to make that happen. So,
yeah.
When it happened that Mario had unfinished business within Formula One, obviously. His goal was to win World Championship. And, Niki Lauda, not Niki Lauda, but Colin Chapman was looking for someone to take on the likes of Niki Lauda. And so he scooped up Mario for sight unseen, and the rest is, as they say,
the
history.
rest is history, yeah. And a heck of a history it is. Well, Steve Romack, as he did yesterday, flying around the Laguna circuit in the 76 March, making it look rather simple. It just looks great. It looks tidy, doesn't it, that car?
That's Richard Griot. That's actually a 74 March 741.
Ah, excuse me.
But it's very hard to distinguish between the two of them. It's only by number did I actually catch that.
Ah, good call. Sorry.
No, that's okay. And then you got Chris McAllister here in the famed Ferrari 312T, T2. It's amazing to think 12 of those cars were actually built, that 312.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Wow.
But you think now, I mean, you can only build, how many Formula One cars can you build now under the rules? Like 2?
Yeah.
Two per driver?
Yeah,
so
basically.
4 total? Maybe 1 test? So maybe 5 total of a modern Formula One car?
I mean, you can build
that'd have been a good question for Zach Brown up here.
Yeah, how many you can build now, yeah.
Oh, we missed that one. Here's over the speaker, Zach. Come on up. Answer that question for us.
Yeah. Answers on a postcard. 3 minutes to go then, our historic Formula One here at Velocity Invitational. I hope you're enjoying your day as we are. And I know that the crowd and the feedback we're getting is that they're enjoying sipping some wine in the Sip and Saber, picking up some merchandise and meeting some of the stars of the Invitational. Great weekend so far. And the perfect setting.
Love that sound.
Yeah, and with Long Beach down the road, a huge history of both Formula One and Indy. So a lot of Formula One fans in this part of the world.
Oh, absolutely. You'll find some of the heaviest enthusiasts of Formula One out here on the West Coast. Sure. It's very popular. I mean, a lot of them, I believe California has the highest, if I'm not mistaken, one of the highest sales for Ferrari. And it's hard to own a Ferrari and not get enthusiastic about Formula One. I don't know any Ferrari owners that aren't enthusiastic about Formula One. I would imagine the same would go for the client base at McLaren. And their interest in Formula One. So especially since it's been coming back up to its previous glories before.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about Miami obviously next year, and that'll be May 8th, and I'm looking forward to that. And of course, COTA is already on the deal for next year too. They've just got to sort out the contract, but I think the West Coast, they're talking Vegas, obviously. I still think that the West Coast and California would be a better home as a third race for Formula One, so that we've got Miami and then Texas and California. And you've pretty much got all the bets covered, bar New York, which sadly didn't make it.
Boy, in a dream world, that's what would happen. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my dream world, they'd just come to my backyard, back to Indianapolis.
Well,
and,
I don't see
and
that.
we could do it there.
You know what? With Roger Penske at the helm and with his background in Formula One and his association, obviously, I think he's still on the board at a few of the Formula One sponsored teams, and so why not?
Well, we're drawn to a rather decent close here. Fastest lap from Steve Romack at a 124.760. He's coming into turn 12 here. He'll come around and he'll face the white flag. One more lap around here, Jonathan.
There it is. Yep. And the bright orange of Romack in that march, heading now down to the Andretti hairpin for the final time on the final lap.
I love
healthy lead.
I love the side-mounted coolers. You can see them right behind the number.
Yeah.
So the side-mounted, probably I imagine one's a water cooler, or they're both water cooler, but one's a water or one's an oil cooler, and I love that design of that car. Just very much ahead of its time.
Yeah, I wonder if current designers take a look at some of these historic cars and say, "Oh, I'd forgotten that could be done there," or "Why haven't I thought of that?" Again, rethinking effectively, because the designers back then were just as brilliant. Because they were trying things that were almost more creative, because there was more, it was more open, wasn't it?
And I think a name that we mention a lot, and we always do with admiration, but it's the great Adrian Newey.
Yes, sure.
Is, I believe, a guy that does that.
He does.
That looks into the past, and that's why the blown diffuser made a return.
Well,
in the early 2010s, that's something that he played with in a March in the late 80s. In his March Formula One car, and it just didn't take. They just didn't have it right. And now the electronics, the modern electronics, proved it to be possible there in 2009, 10, 11, 12.
Well, when
they were
people
able to take advantage.
Yeah, and when you ask about why Adrian's so special, if you will, I've seen him at many. He's a big bike fan. I've seen him at many. There's the checkered flag, and the winner comes across the line, Steve Romack. Yeah, I've seen Adrian at motorcycle races getting very up close and intimate with the technology involved in MotoGP, because, of course, he's thinking compact. That doesn't get any more so than motorcycle racing, and he gets some ideas, he takes some innovations and thinks, now what can I do with that?
Oh, I would agree. I think far and away they're way ahead of the game on the electronics, especially burning fuel, getting maximum power. So I think there's some definite things there to be talked about. But a great session here, great race for Group 6, and that's gonna, that's what we have. That's our last race before a short little lunch break that we'll have coming up here shortly.
So congratulations to Steve Romack in the March 761, taking a win over Charles Nurberg in the McLaren M23. Chris Locke taking third place and putting on a great show in that Lotus 77 from 1976. That concludes our historic Formula One, and it also gives us our first break of action. But don't go away, more to come from the Velocity Invitational 2021. We'll be back after a short break. Stay with us.
Well, welcome to Jeff Schwartz's house. This is a small piece of your history and your life. So, Jeff, can you just tell us a little bit about how you came to Laguna Seca with all of this?
Yeah, obviously I've been very close and associated with Porsche, and then a sponsor that's been on board with me since for Pikes Peak since 1997, I believe, rang me up and said, could you bring a number of your cars that you either collect and race or cars that you raced at the Pikes Peak hill climb? So what I was able to do is bring together a car that was really dear to me, the 906, and then a really great story on this yellow car here, the 914, I know. And then the last one would be the Pikes Peak car that I ran most recently in 2020.
Okay, well, let's start with Pikes Peak then. This man has won 8 Pikes Peak challenges and has also made a movie about it. So I'm not sure which one's more poignant, but let's talk about those 8 championships.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I've run 18 years at Pikes Peak in 13 different Porsches and had the good fortune of winning 8 class championships there. So a lot of varied cars, but I think the biggest thing and the kind of the coolest thing about it is that Pikes Peak was an all dirt road when I started, and then in the early 2000s it became half dirt, half pavement, and then it finally is all paved now. So my wins have come in all dirt and half, and then all pavement. So I've really seen a lot of change there.
Yeah, you've been around many years at Pikes Peak. Tell us, obviously it's the wins that inspired the movie, but what actually brought it to the forefront?
I've been inspired. It was like filmmaking was a way to be around cars and primarily motorsport. And so, I've had 2 projects that were very close to my heart. One was the Art of Racing in the Rain. I was second unit director on that, so I was able to use all my kind of racing intuitions to direct all the racing sequence, basically everything that was automotive in that film. And then the other side of it, to come to Pikes Peak, I brought a guy that's been a real hero of mine, Ken Block, and I did Climb Kana there with Ken, and I filmed on Pikes Peak with Ken Block racing up my mountain, basically, and it was fun to translate what he does so well in a car through my lens on the camera.
Okay, well, I'm going to move you this way, and we're going to head over here because this car is something that you bought when you were 22. Why Porsche?
I think I was so attracted to the sound of the car. The flat 6 was so important to me. So, I'd saved my money and invested my money per my father all through, from really junior high school, all through high school. And the deal was when I got out of high school, I could buy a car. And so the only car I could really get that had a flat 6 in it was the 914. I couldn't afford a 911. So I got this 914-6, which has a 6-cylinder, made the right sound for me. And I've had it literally since 1973. And it's given me so many great life adventures.
You're not that old, are you?
No, not at all. I don't know.
Just numbers in the sky. All right, well, behind us, I don't know whether you can actually catch a glimpse. That's Michael Schumacher. And it's a very rare, smiling, cheeky picture of Michael Schumacher. You captured this as well.
Oh, yes, thank you. I love to take photography as a craft. I've done so many things in film, but to come back to kind of my roots in photography. So the Race of Champions that's held every year that brings all the champions together, I got involved with early on. And when they went to Stade de France and Wembley Stadium, both of those, Paris and London, I just said, I want to bring all these champions together and have them sit in the same chair and sit in the chair as they would in their race car. So, it was surprising, the amount of drivers that showed up to do this, and one of them was Michael Schumacher. And the tricky part was I wanted to do it so that they had to take their shoes off and their gloves off so that they could sit in this chair with bare feet. And it was pretty tricky with somebody like him, but he was awesome and provided me that shot.
Well, it's a perfect setting to share all of your memories. Life has been pretty full for you. So what have you learned and what do you take away from all these fantastic experiences?
It's racing is a point of view from a visual sense, and racing is an attitude and a discipline. And I think that when you run like this Mobil 1 car up Pikes Peak, a 935, the latest, greatest from Porsche, you have to take in all this information. But when it comes to the actual race, you need to narrow it down and just live that moment and compartmentalize everything you've learned at that point, and that's probably a good one for life.
Yeah, I'd say so. All right, greatest driver of all time and greatest car of all time, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. I think that it's I think that the greatest driver in the world of Porsche certainly is, from our American standpoint, is Hurley Haywood, and then Derek Bell was always a big hero on the international world of motorsport, certainly from the Porsche side. So there's been so many great drivers, and certainly Patrick Long, who just retired this weekend after 20 years. He's been our ambassador and racer for the U.S. side of things, and it's really special to see him finish out a great career this weekend.
Amazing. All right, well, that's just a small glimpse at the life of Jeff Schwartz.
Well, Johnny, how about this? A couple of gentlemen that you will know very well indeed. To my left, Pato O'Ward, and to my right, a man who needs no introduction, two-time Formula One world champion, Mika Hakkinen. Mika, incredibly loud here, but you were just raising the volume a moment or two ago in your 1998 McLaren out on track. How good was it to get back in that car?
Yeah, that's MP413, McLaren 98 indeed, and I remember when we did the very first test with that car early, was it February in 98, and we took it in a Paul Ricard racetrack. And like here, you had the garages here, and I remember like yesterday, just driving out of the garage, going to pit lane, with the pit limiter on. I turned the steering a couple of times like this. I said, oh my God, this is it, And going to the very first corner, and I went on the brakes, and I experienced the stability in the rear. I said, we have a winning car. And then I start pushing with the car, going faster and faster, and then just team called me that slow down. We don't want to show our speed.
And am I right in saying that was one of the first McLarens that Adrian Newey was significantly involved in designing?
Absolutely. He did amazing work. He's a genius how he finds the solutions and finding the balance to the car. I don't think it's difficult to, I have to be careful what I say, but yes, you can generate the great downforce to the car, and you can make it look very nice, but you have to make it efficient, and you have to make the car which is balanced, and I think that's the challenge.
Yeah. Well, listen, it was a treat for everyone here at Laguna Seca to hear it once again. It has been the standout car of the weekend. Everyone was flocking to the fencing to see it. And just to your left here, Pato, I mean, what a weekend you're having. I chatted to you yesterday. You're just on a fun weekend. You having a great time?
Man, I am. I've never been to an event like this with so many cool cars, and you find a spectrum of everything. You get like GTLM cars, you get road cars, you get Formula One cars, you get old Formula One cars, you get crazy cars like the 250 GTO Ferrari. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, to be honest. I can go all day and all night explaining everything that's here.
And you've had a great season as well in IndyCar. Picked up your first win. I understand it's won you a bet with Zach Brown as well.
Yeah, so my bet with Zach was if I win an IndyCar race this year, which I did, I get to test a Formula One car at the end of the year in Abu Dhabi. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mika, you're shaking your head looking at this young man while he's saying that.
Because I'm so happy for him. It's going to be a really incredible experience testing a Formula One car. And, it's a chance of the lifetime. That way you can really, really show your talent, your performance, your abilities to communicate with the engineers, the mechanics, and it's brilliant. I think it's such a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah. Has Mika been giving any words of advice before you jump behind the wheel of that Formula One car?
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Full send.
Full send. Yeah. Looking at the smile on your face, I get the impression you are a young man who is going to give it full send.
Oh, mate, I am so excited for the opportunity, and I just want to enjoy it. And I mean, I'm a racing driver, and the enjoyment you get out of driving a race car is putting it to the absolute limit.
Yeah. And Mika, just a quick word about this event, because I last saw you at a historic event in Monaco in 2018, I think it was. Here we are in the California sunshine. The Velocity Invitational, it's a really good historic event, isn't it?
It is indeed. I mean, you see a lot of happy faces. I think people are feeling their dreams bringing their beautiful cars, able to run on a racetrack with the beautiful weather, and you have the space and no stress.
No.
You know, it's for fun. You know, everybody having fun, and I think that's the whole idea. You know, and it works really well here.
It does indeed work really well here, and I tell you what, don't tell anyone, Mika, but I think I'm having more fun than anyone right now. This is a job, right? But it's great fun. So Pato as well, Zach Brown, obviously CEO of McLaren, he was chasing Mika around in 2011 or 2012 race car there. I think it was Lewis and Jensen's one. He's quite a driver, your boss, isn't he, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, the guy, I told him we need to go do a test run in the IndyCar, get him in one of those and see what he thinks about that. I mean, the guy knows what it is to be in the shoes of a driver, and great boss. Yeah. Great boss to have, and then really enjoyable to, you know, to have someone that truly understands what you do.
Yeah, exactly, because he's jumping between sports cars and Formula One cars. He's got a huge collection of many other cars, and it's no mean feat to go out on track here at Laguna Seca and hang on to the wheel and do it properly.
No, mate, this track is a big challenge. It's a big challenge. There's a lot of elevation change. There's a lot of blind corners, but there is no better place to do it. It's just an awesome, awesome place.
Yeah, Mika, one quick word about the circuit here at Laguna Seca as well. If you were giving some advice to some of the owners who are taking these priceless machines out, what advice would you give them?
How would I say? I would say the pedal gets the metal.
If in doubt, flat out.
Exactly.
Flat out. Flat out, baby. That's the only way to do it.
Full send. Pato, Mika, listen, this has just been a real, let me shake your hand here. This has been amazing, Pato. Thanks a million, buddies. So these two fantastic gentlemen are going to be signing some autographs to the fans. We've got a bit of a crowd behind us at the moment. I think we'll let them get in position. Johnny and Adam, we'll go back up to you at the booth because I can hear just across the way some classic Formula One cars across the way over there. Zach is out there. I don't want to mention what he's driving because for one time this weekend, it's not a McLaren, is it? He's in an FW07.
It's Williams Formula One car.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a 1980 FW07, which I had as a slot car when I was a kid, as a little aside. So Zach's racing a slot car of mine. But listen, Johnny and Adam, I mean, what a treat down here at the Velocity Invitational. These chaps have got to sign some autographs. I'll hand back to you.
No, I'm on PC, but I actually have Game Pass on PC, so you can play. Well, yeah, dude. So you get. So you talk on that.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's your viewing for this afternoon from the Velocity Invitational. And we start off with Ford GTLM. We've got a bit of a surprise for you on that one. So that is what is to come. Let's head down to Kiri in the pit lane for the procedures to get us underway for our afternoon coverage.
Well, welcome back to Velocity Lane, and there is plenty more action still to come your way today. Now we've got the Ford GT program about to head onto track, but before we do, we have got a rather fabulous lady, Rebecca Kitch, who is going to sing the national anthem. So when you're ready, Rebecca, thank you so much.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, a fantastic start to the afternoon here at the Velocity Invitational. A very special VIP guest has flown in, especially just about to go out in a GT Mark II car, Henry Ford III. Sir, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. This was a special journey you made just this morning.
I did, yeah. It's so great to be here. This is a wonderful event. So great to see the fans out here today. So many beautiful cars, beautiful track, beautiful day. It's just perfect.
And your team have assembled quite the collection of GT cars. The history just across the way over there is someone else.
Well, I was lucky enough to be at Le Mans in 2016 with my dad, and he was there 50 years ago with his dad. So it's something that's really important to our family and our company, and the GT is just such a big part of our legacy and heritage. So great to be out here.
Have a great afternoon. Thanks for talking to us, sir. Enjoy the drive.
Thank you. Thank you.
So a fantastic sight and sound of Ford in motion. What a history. It doesn't often happen in motor racing where you plan stuff and it actually comes to fruition. Usually you are thwarted by weather, mechanical, something going wrong, good competition, whatever it might be, especially at a race like Le Mans. But Ford have pulled it off, not once, but twice.
Amazing. I love to see them all here all at once, and you know it's a big deal when you attract the big boss man himself. So,
yeah. When your name is Ford, you know you've got the right guy.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So, I mean, sunshine will grab about anybody here, but we know it's a pretty special time when something like that's going on. So this is a really, really special way to kick off our afternoon after that wonderful little lunch break.
Yes, it was nice. We spoke with Gunnar Jeanette, we saw Stefan Johansson, we had a good chat with Pato O'Ward, who was still grinning from ear to ear after his experience in the car.
Yeah, that adrenaline was still pumping through his veins for sure. He was such an excitable young man, and very much looking forward to his upcoming test in Abu Dhabi and what it'll be like in a modern car. We discussed some of that with them and the differences, and plays back was his sentiments as well. It's a beautiful sound of those that era of Formula One.
And if you're wondering if you're sort of clueless as to what we are alluding to, of course, in 1966, some 5 years ago, Ford won Le Mans, having had a long 2-year gestation period of developing their own car to take on the mighty Ferrari. The story goes, Henry Ford wanted to buy out Ferrari. They were and certainly Enzo was struggling, but he was in need of finances to keep the company going. And
what a burnout.
That was a great burnout. And so he had still dominated Le Mans. That was always Ferrari's way. And Ford said, well, if you won't sell me the company, that miffs me, and I'm going to go back to your backyard, and I'm going to beat you. And he did. Yeah. They developed a car, the GT40, and they did it. Now, the cars that you're seeing on display, some 50 years later, 5 years ago, 8 of them went to Le Mans, and they did it again.
They're being led by one of those that you were just speaking of the 60s era, is what they're being led of. So that's pretty special to get to see. And what was the number significance? You remember the number significance of the GT40? 40-inch roof height.
40-inch roof height. And in fact, the numbers on the modern car, the 66 and 67, alludes to the fact that actually not only did they win in 66 and 67, but as a factory, Ford pulled out. But of course, they carried on racing the cars, and they won in 66, 67, 68, and 69, a 4-peat. So if Ferrari didn't have his nose rubbed in it in 1966, Ford said, just to make sure, we'll show you how good this car really is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It was so far ahead.
And I can't think of another car that's ever won Le Mans 4 back-to-back like that.
Well,
I mean, Porsche always do.
The R8 would be the
yes,
only
that might be the only one.
Yeah, 935s, 962s.
Yeah. But of the same mark, effectively, with upgrades. But, wow.
It's pretty special. Anytime you can turn off that kind of dominance, it means that you've done something that really has woken the world up. And waking up the world of motorsports is not the easiest thing to do. They seem to be ahead of the game a lot of times. But these are great exhibition laps that we're going to see here. They're gridding up quite nicely behind the future of Ford Motor Company with that Mustang Mach-E leading them down the way, all electric.
Well, and it's sort of, for Ford Motor Company, it was a full circle, because remember, the Model T was the first car developed purely for the people, and that's what Henry Ford's mission was, or vision was, that he said, I don't want this to be, I don't want the car to be just for the elite, the Bentleys and the Rolls were fantastic, but nobody can afford them. And Jaguar was almost not far off, a little bit less. But that is why Ford decided to go assembly making Model Ts, so that the mere people, and I think it was something like $800 or something, for a decent Ford car back in the day. And so therefore Ford then going back into racing, which they hadn't been doing for a while, certainly not at a factory level, was something special. Here we go then. Ford Motor history with a Ford at the wheel, and also I wouldn't be surprised if James Farley's out there too.
Oh yeah, this is his yoga, remember?
Of course.
Yeah. No, I do think it's if a Ford is in there, I think Henry Ford's a passenger.
Yes, he'll be a passenger. Just like the Ford in the movie.
Yes.
Probably scaring himself to death. Lovely.
Let's hope so. Let's hope they're going for a fun ride.
And when you look at that movie where Ken Miles is obviously with Christian Slater, the star of the movie. But this is where Ken Miles, this particular track is where Ken Miles and Riverside and a few others cut his teeth. This is where his story began. So if you want to look at where the real story of Ford versus Ferrari began, you could argue it was here.
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely.
Yeah, Joey Hand was here. He was one of the drivers. He'll be out there now. Billy Johnson, another one of the drivers, is out there. I'm good friends with Andy Prio, who absolutely, even though he's a 4-time touring car world champion, he said that winning Le Mans was just absolutely sensational. And I would have thought there isn't anything more fine than a factory entry at Le Mans and taking them away.
Well, without a doubt. I mean, and Le Mans is that global stage, right? When you win at Indianapolis, you win at Le Mans, you win at Daytona. No matter what race you've won there, you've done something. You've done something very, very special. You've done something on a global stage. So that would really resonate much stronger. Even though the British Touring Car Championships are incredibly competitive and held on high regard, it's still it's not that global stage, right? And that's what really, when you can beat the best of the absolute best worldwide, that's when you know you really feel like you've accomplished something, or accomplished something special and unique.
Yeah, and like I said, when you get a mark as successful as the GT40 and then try to remake it, you can fail miserably quickly, especially with the aficionados, the fans that love a particular way you did something and that it cannot be repeated. But they did it. They did it in style, too.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no mistaking what this car resembles. There's no mistaking. You can look at it from the front end, looking at it from the side, looking at it from going away from you. Even if it didn't have a Ford badge on it and said Ford GT, you'd be like, ooh, wow, that thing looks a lot like a GT40. And so, I mean, mission accomplished.
Yeah, and like the original quest to win Le Mans, they took Chip Ganassi on this side of the planet, as they did with Carroll Shelby. And they did the same sort of thing, really. They had a factory also in England, and they got the best drivers, as they did in the 60s, and they went about it in exactly the same way, and they had exactly the same result.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. And, Chip Ganassi's got a top-notch program here in America, and, it's well documented that he's got a tunnel actually for testing inside the mountains of Pennsylvania. That was an old transportation tunnel, and so he took not an ownership of it, but leased it from the state for quite some time, and went ahead and put some construction into it, and has made it one of the premier testing facilities here in the United States for really anything racing wise. That we want to do is shutdown tests, coast downs, high speed runs, whatever the case may be on those type deals. And so yeah, there's a huge benefit. There's a big thing that I know that's a big part of what Chip sells, a manufacturer like Ford, is access to those type things and being able to develop your program, in the way that the CGR Chip Ganassi Racing program goes out.
And looking back in history, talking about the great drivers, if I give you the list, Chris Amon, who crossed the line first, but that was a sort of controversial thing. Mario Andretti, you might have heard of him. Bob Bondurant, you might have heard of him. Ronnie Bucknam, Mark Donohue, we spoke to his son earlier. Richie Ginther, Marston Gregory, Jerry Grant, Dan Gurney and Bob Grossman, Phil Hill, Ken Miles, who we spoke of just a moment again, and Bruce McLaren and Lloyd Ruby. That's not a bad group of pedalers, is it?
That is impressive.
And Mario didn't have the best of weekends that year, did he?
No, no, he didn't. I believe they had a mechanical failure. Not sure exactly what happened, but yeah, I believe they had a mechanical.
Yeah, an incredible history, and one that I don't think we'll ever forget, and I don't think will ever be repeated. I think Ford would really be pushing it if they said to themselves, oh, let's try it for a third time. Nobody can beat us, sure. Yeah, I think that would be a tough thing to do. Now, I'm going to welcome into the booth, in a moment, a young lady. She's gonna hang out for a second. And she's got a great history. I actually saw her race too. I've actually seen her demonstrating a race car today and yesterday. But Jessica Hawkins from Great Britain, from my home, Great Britain, is here. And she is a lady on the move at the moment. And she's representing Aston Martin. That's fine, we'll bring her in here because we've got some great sports cars coming up. But I wanted to talk to her all weekend. I was supposed to come down and see you, but you've come up here. Bobble hat and all.
Even in the heat, in the heat.
How are you?
I'm brilliant. How are you?
Very, very well. How are you enjoying the weekend, first and foremost?
It's amazing. I'm so happy to be here, to be honest. My first event out in the US. I mean, I've been here before, but it's my first event like this.
Yeah.
And what a place to be. I absolutely love USA. I love the corkscrew. I love Laguna Seca. And to be driving, obviously what I've been driving today, the TDF1 is amazing. So, and I don't really want to be going home.
Don't blame you. Well, for those young ladies out there who are inspired by an event like this, listen to the words of Jessica Hawkins, because she's on the way up. I saw her race in the W Series hard and fast at COTA just a couple of weeks ago on the Formula One undercard. I thought she'd made it into the top 8 because that's an automatic qualification. What happened?
That's still a sore subject to be
okay,
honest.
We'll move right on. But the bottom line is,
bottom line is that I had a really tough start to the season. Really tough start to the season, and it was very difficult to split back from there. But we finished the season extremely strong, and who knows for next year? There are a few possibilities that I'm working on, and but yeah, who knows?
Well, Adam Andretti, we are looking at some fantastic Ford history. We're going to talk about sports cars and Jessica as well, and what she's up to with Aston Martin, which is exciting. And I'm glad to see young female racing drivers getting the opportunity to be associated with Formula One teams. We've seen a competitor of hers, Jamie Chadwick. Jamie Chadwick, of course, with the Willie Williams team. And that's great news with the announcement that Logan Sargent also getting into that academy. But now we're starting to see female drivers getting the opportunity that they long time have deserved. But Jessica, you've got fascinating. You're not just a racing driver, you're a stunt driver. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the stunt driving all came about basically because I ran out of money to go racing. That's the only reason that I kind of went in that route. But it actually turned out to be one of the best things that I've ever done. So running out of budget to go racing was actually probably one of the best things that happened to me. So I race when the opportunity arises. So I've got the best of both worlds, really. So I have had a very strange career route. I've done some really crazy things.
Well, tell us about it, because there's some little girls out there who want to know. How do you do it?
So random. Okay, so world record for the world's fastest lawnmower 0 to 100.
Nice work.
Nice.
Random.
Good one.
That.
Good.
What was the power plant on that?
It had a Honda Fireblade motorbike engine.
Okay.
It was fast.
Motorcycle engine.
It was fast.
Yeah.
Stunt driver for the new James Bond No Time to Die movie that has just been released.
Nice.
Did some Fast and Furious stuff.
Oh,
driving.
that was a bit of a moment. Sorry, I had to squeak in there because we almost had an unfortunate error down at the corkscrew. Somebody actually had a corked bottle there for a moment.
Go through 24 hours of Le Mans without a scratch.
Without a scratch, and then suddenly come to Laguna for an exhibition and crash. No, carry on, Jessica.
That's something that we didn't want to see.
No, we didn't.
And yeah, been then racing up on that.
So have you done any of the traditional sort of karting, Formula 4, any of that?
Yes, so I started karting. 2008 was British champion. A few years after that, won some European races, and that's really kind of when the budget restrictions started to come in. After karting, I did a few one-off races here and there over the next few years. I then obviously went into W Series, which brought me back into racing because I'd stopped racing before W Series, so it was an incredible opportunity. And then this year, obviously, signed for Aston Martin Cognizant Formula One team. I had to pinch myself when that happened because very, very few people in the world ever get to sign for a Formula One team. So that's pretty special to me. But it's also heartwarming to know, that they see something in me. And whilst I haven't been in the car yet, I would say never, and who knows.
Are you doing sim work at least? Or they have you on the sim and doing some of the sim work for them?
Yeah, so I'll be starting in the sim over the winter. I've been very busy this year, and it's been difficult to fit everything in, and they've been super busy. And so yeah, I'll be starting over the winter. I'm raring to go in that. So
Well, that's a lot of how they gauge their junior drivers now, because the sims are so good, and especially So you're going to be in for a treat there for sure, just from that, because it's going to give you so much of the sensation. Obviously, it's not the same as driving the real thing, but it's going to give you so much of that sensation. You're going to really. It's good to hear that you're really focused on getting into that sim, because so many people don't look at it as part of the opportunity. They're so driven on getting in the car, but this is so important to the process of how they're going to analyze you and when they're going to get you into that next step. So
I'm not sure. My experience level compared to a lot of my competitors is so low. So who knows? I'll never say no to any other opportunity. I'll always consider any opportunity. Whether it will go further, I don't know.
Look into Kimi Räikkönen's career before Formula One.
Yeah.
It was null.
Yeah.
He had null of a career. He
Yeah.
had very, like, I think 2 seasons of racing in Formula cars and was in a Formula One car.
I know, mental.
and is now,
That's true.
you know, world
Yeah.
champion. and
I remember when they said they actually asked Michael Schumacher and the rest of the team, the rest of the drivers at the time, were they happy to have Kimi on the track with them at Silverstone, and he did a special test on, I think, Wednesday beforehand to see if he was okay, because he'd only done Formula One.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. I think
So don't let sometimes it's not about the amount of miles on your odometer, it's the amount of what they see in you.
a small
as
issue
talent.
of a few super license points as well.
Well, those two.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, they did change that. They did change that since Kimi's. The Kimi nowadays wouldn't be able to get the opportunity that he had. I will say that, and I think that's a shame. I honestly think that's a darn shame the way that they've done the licensing.
It's
I
all
think
for safety as well, I guess, which is obviously at the forefront of everything nowadays.
Oh, I agree, but there's also ways I think that they can analyze on a per driver basis. It doesn't have to be a generalization. I think that's what hurts our sport is in the past is when we generalize it. And then there's people that miss opportunities because of the generalization of it. People that are extreme talents, you know, that finding that process, having the funding to go through that process.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's unbelievable what you have to be involved in, and the business side of it.
Yeah.
Everyone sees the glory and the champagne. Very few see the hard work and the blood, the sweat, and the tears behind the scenes.
Jessica, stay with us because I just want to obviously put a footnote on what was a fantastic display of the 2016 Ford GTLMs, including Mr. Ford in the passenger seat, I may add, but Joey Hand and many other of the greats celebrating 5 years after the 50th celebration of the 1966 win by Chris Amon at Le Mans for Ford, and an incredible feat, which I said earlier, I don't think will be repeated. But great to have them here, great to have this presence from Ford. If you get a chance and you are here, head down to the middle, just behind Velocity Lane. There's a great display of both old and new Fords, including these 216 Fords. But there's the Mach-E, the new electric Mach-E, as well as also the 2022 GT, the latest GT in Wimbledon white. I didn't know there was such a thing, but there you go. Let's head down now to the paddock again, because now the Fords are put back to bed. Let's go down to Kev. He's with Paris Mullins.
Right, well, here we are then in the garage of O'Gara Motorsport, and we are indeed live right now with Paris Mullins here. Paris, head of motorsport for O'Gara. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
We're stood by this incredible 2011 Formula One car, and I'm pleased to say my knowledge is on point, because I said you can tell by the rear wing there.
You sorted it out right away. You saw it. Yeah.
Narrow aero. They wanted to reduce the aero in that era. But tell us about this car. What's going on with this one? And then I'll ask you about O'Gara in general.
Absolutely. So this car is built by a group in the UK called Tour de Force, or Tour de Force Engineering, and it is called the TDF1. They essentially use a raced-used Formula One chassis and basically change the entire car so that the average person can run it for a track day without needing a team of 10 guys.
Right.
So the running costs come down, the fun goes up. So it's basically to make kind of a boyhood dream of driving a Formula One car possible. You know,
that's absolutely incredible, and there are lots of people here at Velocity Invitational who will be queuing up to want to do this, and it's designed for those guys and girls.
That's exactly what it's designed for. Absolutely. Yeah, speaking of girls, we've got actually Jess Hawkins out here driving it. So she's actually their development driver as well as the driving ambassador for Aston Martin Formula One. So we've got her out here doing some laps in it.
Well, let's walk and talk this way. Jess doesn't know, but she was on my plane out on Wednesday, because I saw as she was getting off, I recognise that person. She's carrying a helmet bag. So she was coming out to chat to you. She had a great weekend last weekend. Johnny, our commentator, was commentating, I think, in COTA, didn't she? She had a great race in the W Series.
Yeah, she did. I was actually there that weekend, and she did great. It was great to watch her race.
Stepping across to this monster then here, this is completely wrapped in carbon fibre. I'm not going to pretend I know what this is, but what hell of a sports car this looks like.
It is. So this is from Ligier. This competes in the P3 category, so it's their JSP 320. It's the latest thing to come from France from them. The car is mega. This one's slightly different. We've kind of turned the engine up to 11. So the ACO regulated car does not have ABS, and it has about 460 horsepower.
Okay.
With this, we've put in ABS for gentlemen drivers, and it's got about 520 horsepower. So it's like the ultimate track day toy, unless you get something like that.
So it's that or that. You would be torn which one you're going to choose.
Right.
And is that what O'Gara Motorsport is all about?
Correct. So O'Gara Motorsport is the motorsport division of O'Gara Coach, which is the largest dealer in the U.S. for Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Maserati, McLaren, Rolls-Royce. I mean, the list goes on. So we look after all basically track-only product that those brands offer. Obviously, these two don't have a road-going variant, so that's just exclusive to the motorsport side. So,
and if somebody wants to put an order in for something like this, how long they got to wait?
Right now, for these cars, probably right around 6 months.
That's not bad.
No, it really isn't. But again, they've gotten it down to as long as there's no supplier hangups. Yeah. But yeah, no, they've gotten it down to a science now at this point. So.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And just thinking generally about yourself as well, I mean, as I walk around this paddock, I meet all kinds of, fantastic people. What a job you've got, race car driver right the way through, and now look at what you're doing.
I'm very, very, very fortunate to get to do this.
And a quick word about the event as well then, the Velocity Invitational. It's like the first year in this format, new brand, and we are ticking every box as far as cars are concerned. What do you make of the event?
Oh, no, it's mega. I mean, it's far exceeded my expectations. As a kid, I grew up racing here at Laguna Seca. It's my home track. To see this kind of event being put on here, it is going to be the Goodwood for North America, for sure.
Yeah, it really is. The sun is shining, lots going on. One quick question. If you weren't going to jump in this one or this one, what car would you like to go and have a spin in this afternoon?
The one that I drove to the track, which you have to come take a look.
I don't know whether, I'm not sure if our cameras will reach it. We got time? I'm looking at my producer and my cameraman. We're set up on this one, but I want to have a look at it. So let's quick. Let's see if Matthew, our cameraman, can spin around, because you will not see a better prepared Ferrari anywhere in the world. So tell us about this.
All right, so this is built by GTO Engineering. This is essentially a part-by-part, 100% accurate 250 SWB. It starts life as a 250 GTE, something of that nature. They go ahead and redo the entire thing as if it just got pushed out of the Ferrari factory in the 60s. It's correct down to just every last little detail.
It is better than when it got pushed out of this factory. I'm telling you, if you can get down here this afternoon, if you are here watching the live stream, come and see this. It will be the best prepared Ferrari that is anywhere on site. Listen, Paris, thanks so much. I'm going to shake your hand. Kiri, our track reporter, is out and about doing something else, but it was a whirlwind tour of O'Gara Motorsports, and oh boy, thanks so much. Kiri, over to you. Thanks so much. Kiri, over to you.
Well, yeah, we are. This is something else indeed. Now, this is the GT IMSA category. Now, it was from 1966 to 1977. You're just having a look in with Ned Bacon there. Now, we all know the Porsche 911. This incredible machine, which is so difficult to drive. You'll see the first two cars that head out onto the track are the Porsche 911s. The first one, Ned Bacon driving 1975, and the second one also 1975. Okay, well after that there's some Datsuns in here and plenty of Porsches filling up this category. Again, the noise down here is spectacular. And these Porsches are certainly a crowd pleaser. Now we spoke to Rob Fuller yesterday. Rob raring to go once again in car 49. Then we're looking at car 47, Brian Frislell. He's in the Datsun. That's a 1970 Datsun, a 240 is there. Don't they look absolutely magnificent? I think the sunshine just brings out the yellow there. All right, well, it's about time that I hand up to you guys. It's a bit noisy down here.
So, as you can see, thumbs up from most of our drivers. It was great talking to young Jessica Hawkins. Big future ahead of her, just in her early 20s, and already connected with Aston Martin. And she was the driver of that single-seater car that we were hearing about there from Kev, which I find really interesting. Effectively, a Formula One car that you can literally run on your own, or not far off. But basically, you don't need the 6-man, 10-man crew to run it. And it'll run all day. It's depowered a little bit. Obviously, it's a very technical machine, but the bottom line is it does make it very accessible.
I mean, very solid head on that young lady. Very
Yes.
impressed by my first meeting of her and being around her.
I thought you'd like to meet her.
Yeah, she's where she'll be an asset, literally to anyone's operation. And I know firsthand from her just sitting in here, she wants some more opportunities over here in the U.S. So anywhere in that paddock, you're looking for a bright young lady who's got a good head on her shoulders and is rather rapid behind the wheel as well. Give her a call. Shoot her up a holler.
Jessica
she'll be happy to be here.
Yes, and you can see it at a movie near you. She's done the stunt driving in the Bond movie.
Very special.
That's kind of cool.
Very special to get to do that. So we got our next group going on up here. This is our Group 7 feature race. This is always a good group, a good fun group to have. A lot of Porsches, and you know how much I love a 911. I don't love it when they smoke like that.
Ooh, that's not a good look, is it?
A 911.
Now, what could that be if it's not what I think it is?
You know, that could be even overfilling with oil,
yeah.
You know, and having a little oil in the headers, because the way it would go away when he would warm up the tires one way, and then so if he's lost oil pressure, or if that's oil dumping into the cylinders and he's losing oil pressure,
that's not good.
Well, he would also see it, hopefully on the gauges, you know, would tell him that the oil pressure fluctuations. And a lot of times in these older cars, if they don't have a dry sump oil pump system, if they're previous to that technology and it's a wet sump, you really have to look at your oil pressure as you exit corners, because if you have an oil pressure drop exiting corners, that means your oil level is dipped and you may be doing damage to the engine as you corner.
I enjoyed this group yesterday, and I think I'm going to enjoy it again today, because it is, as you say, primarily Porsches, but this is the emergence of the 240Z, the Datsuns of the early 70s, made so popular and successful here in the States, but also a couple of really, really nicely prepared BMWs. A 3.5 CSL, well, in fact, two. One from 73 and one from 74. So really looking forward to seeing these. But these, I think these are just great cars.
Oh, our dear friend Eric Joyner is out there in his 911 having a ball with Good Boy Bob Coffee supplying all the caffeine needs for everyone in the paddock this weekend. And really great shot here, the corkscrew of every one of these beautiful cars of Group 7 coming down through here to grid up and start our first real race of the afternoon, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you could, the first race of the afternoon after having some exhibition races. But I think this is going to be a cracker too, because these guys know what they're doing. They'll go hell belt for leather, and we've got some very competitive cars out here. But also, it is another clever group. It's IMSA GT FIA Group 4 from 66 to 77, and again, another interesting period in American racing. And why I say that like that is because obviously it's dominated by Japanese and German cars and British cars, but they raced here to much success and continue to do so. Green flag waves.
Very much so. Good acceleration down in turn one. You can see the Porsches really getting a good jump on the Datsuns as they're going a hard braking zone here into the hairpin. Side by side for the front there. We're still getting a little bit of oil pluming out.
Yeah, it looks to be clearing itself up. I think it's what you said,
though,
yeah, which is good, because he would have stopped. They would have radioed to him and told him to come in.
Oh, for sure, 100%. So really good battle between Alan Turpins and Ned Bacon there through the Andretti hairpin, and then as they climb to turn 5 here.
That's the Datsun just behind. And already the field's spreading out. And a good strike, that's the other part, is that it's a big field too, very big. And I think we might see some lapping before the end of this race is over, depending on how much time they give them out on track. But it's great to see a full field like this. Some of them with headlights on. And that's the smoky one. There's the BMW. There's one of them anyway.
Yeah, I love those BMWs. Got a beautiful, beautiful livery on them. The Castro BMW, the really neat cars out there too. But the 3.5 CSL is a really unique car. Big fan tail off the back of it. Really, I've always loved the profile of that car. As we see one coming through the corkscrew right there. Boy, Jessica loved that corkscrew, didn't she?
Yeah.
She loved the corkscrew. I love Laguna Seca. I love California. I love America. I just want to be here right now. She didn't want to go home.
She doesn't want to go home. I don't blame her.
She had to leave our booth a little bit prematurely because they had to get to the airport. But I'm sure we'll see more of her here in the United States, and we look forward to her next trip back.
Yeah, check out the W Series if you're an aspiring driver. Why not? Or at least follow it. It's great.
Ryan Frizzell, a good old friend of mine. I haven't found him yet in the paddock. We don't get much time outside the booth, but I would love it if he could come up to the booth and join us. He's one of the most entertaining people you'll ever care to be around. I'd love to know what it's like to drive one of those Datsuns, but we've had a lot of fun in parking lots around this country, teaching people, just the general public how to drive a little bit better if you can.
I thought you were going to say something else about what you were doing donuts in general car parks, but I'm sure that was part of the learning.
No, we were being smart.
Okay.
We were being smart.
I'm going to ask you this question as we look at Alan Turpin's in that Porsche 911 RSR. What is it about the 911 that makes it the perfect race car? And I say that because it's not the perfect race car, but it's had so much success. The silhouette, at least, has still, to this day, when you look at what Eric Joyner drives today, it ain't far off this. But why has it had such success? Is it because of where the engine is? Is it because of the design? I mean, obviously it's a pretty car, but why is it such a great race car?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it's very efficient in all aspects, right? When you have a front engine car and you're rear drive, you're going to lose a certain amount of power through the drivetrain because it's got to travel a distance. When you have a rear engine car, rear drive, that all of a sudden you don't have that drop in power. So all of a sudden you can make the same amount of power to the rear wheels with a much smaller displacement, which Porsche has always proven.
Then how do you go about keeping it effectively down and not being tail-led?
That's the balance, right? That's where getting the oil coolers up front. Gotcha. We're getting the radiators up front. The fuel cell being located up ahead of the bulkhead. These are all ways. And then their answer, if you look at this era, as you see Eric Joyner going down to the hairpin there, their answer was rear tire, too.
Yeah.
We got to throw some rear tire at this thing. Look at how big the rear tire is on these 70 eras Porsches. And just a massive amount of rear tire to tame just what you're talking about. Because back then, I mean, it was a lot more like throwing a dart backwards. The weight was the inertia was all in the wrong place at the wrong time. And but you knew you were ready for it.
Yeah.
You knew it. Everyone said, "Wow, that's a great Porsche driver," because to drive a Porsche well was very challenging. It's still challenging, but I believe it's gotten much better. And the efficient package. And then you mentioned the design of it, aero-wise. It is one of the most perfect aero designs that you can have. That's why they don't need to shy away from it. It cuts through the air very cleanly. It creates a good amount of front downforce, as you talked about. Just you need a little bit of rear wing like they have, unless you look at some of the old fantails. But it's just a very, in one word, very efficient package.
Yes, and it was. It's interesting. I was reading some of the history about just how Ferdinand Porsche got to get to effectively the 356, and then the iteration after that, and so forth. It was first sort of brought it came into his head as a car similar to what Henry Ford was trying to do, make a car for the people, the Volkswagen.
Yeah, the people's car. So as we look at one of these BMWs, there's a 103 of Thor Johnson.
Great name.
Yeah, that's a great name.
You're a good racing driver if you've got a name like Thor Johnson. You can't be called Bob Smith and be a racing driver.
Little schnitzer on the windshield, too.
Of course.
Love that.
And when I hear of schnitzer, I always say Charlie Lamb. And may he rest in peace, bless his cottons.
Byron Sanborn is what they had in that car. Yeah, that's who's driving that. Byron Sanborn. So sorry about that. Thor Johnson must be the owner. That's what I have on my paperwork. But in timing and scoring, what you have is Byron Sanborn driving that beautiful 74 BMW 3.5 CSL. Currently sitting right outside the top 10 in 12th place, respectively.
One or two, like I said, two BMWs out there. We've got an Alfa Romeo GTV, and also we've got a Triumph TR8. I think that's the 44.
Yeah, that's right. That's the Group 44
There it
car
is.
right there coming.
Is it by magic? Look at that.
You have been on it today.
I'm on it today.
I do believe
I
you
have
should-
my Wheaties.
I do believe you need to go buy a lottery ticket.
Mark Leonard in that TR8. I always remember those colours in the Jaguars.
Yes. Yep, they were. That's what Group 44 got
Yeah,
really
that's exactly
famous
it.
with, and Bob Tullius.
That's him. That's
which is
what I
on the
was
side of the car. Bob is a great man. We got to know him in the 50th anniversary of Trans Am. The team I drove for that anniversary year was ECC Motorsports, and that's what they did. They painted their Corvette up like a Group 44 car since we ran the number 44. And at Sebring, where Bob Tullius has his museum, as a matter of fact, is our season opener in Trans Am traditionally, and it was that year. And we were able to spend a lot of time with Mr. Tullius, got to know him quite well, and hear some wonderful stories. And thoughts always with him, and his during the age, you never know where he's at health-wise. So always thinking about Mr. Tullius and hoping he's doing well.
Well, Ned Bacon at the front as we take a look at the 100 of Max Minchel. Max down in 14th position in that number 100. Having a good time. And there's the 93 of Glenn Choi. That's 260 from 1974. Yeah, and let's not miss the footnote here. For those that don't know, the Datsuns, when they came over to America, surprised everybody.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
And it was a very different car, but the Japanese kind of went, okay, the Brits did that, the Americans did that, let's combine.
Yeah,
let's
really, pretty much so. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, inline six, 6-cylinder engine in there, and it's still a mainstay to the Nissan brand to this day with the Z. So the Z Marquis. I remember, my oldest sister had a boyfriend who had a 240Z, and I mean, I don't think I particularly liked him as a person, but I loved his car.
Right.
And I dug just seeing his car around, and
wow.
it was just such a, like you said, it was such a unique car. You knew that someone was driving something unique and special.
Yeah, you better be driving something special if you roll up to the Andretti's house.
Yeah.
And you better have a decent car.
Yeah, the T-tops, it was, and then the little hood scoop for the turbo. It was really a trick piece. I really loved it.
I could see Mario at Thanksgiving so going, what are you driving?
Yeah.
Oh, a Hillman Imp.
Right.
Oh, okay. Get rid of him. That's funny. So 6 minutes to go in our Group 7 action, and Ned Bacon in a good battle with Martin Lauber. And Ned had a good win yesterday, but Lauber at the front at the moment in the 64. As we take a look at the 78, currently in, I'm trying to find where he is. Where is he?
I believe that is in 19th place. Kelvin.
There you go.
Kelvin C.
Kelvin C. And that is a 1966 Porsche 911. Beautiful.
That is beautiful. And the one and only Corvette. You can hear that.
Sounds great.
Yep, you can hear that thundering down the front straightaway there. That's the number 50 of John Goodman. John Goodman does a lot of driving around here on the weekend.
Well, I've seen all his movies too.
Yeah, right. I like him in Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, exactly. I said that about Cary Grant in Trans Am series, and I got in trouble.
It never hit, huh?
No, it didn't hit.
No.
Whoa, that almost hit.
Yeah, that was definitely getting it done there. But I love the Americana on this Corvette too. The red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes. And I tell you, when that car's parked around and the national anthem comes on, you don't need to look for a flag very far.
Yeah. John Goodman from Seattle, Washington. And like you say, he is actually a storied historic driver. And that's the Corvette today. What number's that then, you think? 58?
That's number 58.
I think that's 58. I'm not sure.
That's going to be John Norman. John Norman's in that 71 Alfa Romeo GTB.
So they're having a good little ding-dong, aren't they?
Love that green, yeah.
So Lauber, Bacon, Turpins, similar to how it was yesterday, and Ned Bacon brought home the bacon and the car.
So I love Pat O'Ward was driving, doing lap times of 1:10 and a half. So that's, roughly, 40 seconds faster than what these guys are running per lap. And he said, I was leaving a lot on the table in the higher speed corner.
Well, we were in the driver's lounge when he came by, and I just leapt up and said, how was it? And he said, expletive, great.
Yes.
But what else did he say about his drive?
Oh, this that he still left stuff on the table out there. He didn't want to obviously put a wheel wrong because he felt if this thing does a snap, it's going to be a quick one on you. And but yeah, he's so excited for his opportunity. Not only the opportunity he had today, but it's just such a likable young man. It's hard not to just really love that young man and appreciate having him around in the sport.
I love Zach's face when you told him 1:10.6. He went, "Oh,
so he's trying."
He's trying then, because he'd been out in the car the day before. But I think Pat was impressed that the boss could handle himself in a Formula One car.
Yeah, exactly.
Fastest lap, 1:37.9 by Lauber, the leader, as he powers through into the hand-ready hairpin one more time. Good battle here.
This is going to be another one of those epic battles. I mean, you could throw a blanket over our podium here. I mean, these three are right on top of each other, not leaving anything to spare, kicking up the dust, trying to get into each other's heads.
Well, it should be white flag next time round, but as you can see, you don't need to be told exactly what's happening in this race. It's a three-way battle for the podium, and it's just getting tighter as they come through 4, a pass for an overtake, perhaps into 5. Here we go. Not quite. 37 holds him on.
Yeah, that would have been for second place. Alan Turpin's is looking awfully racy.
Yeah, good stuff.
So these are all 911 RSRs. The leader, Martin Lauber, is actually in a 1976 version, but Ned Bacon and Alan Turpin's are 1975 versions. Rob Fuller in a 72 Datsun 240Z is 4th, and in 5th place in a 1970 Datsun 240Z is none other than Brian Frizzell.
And I'm guessing not a great deal of difference between a 75 and a 76?
I don't believe so. I mean, I had to look on my notes to actually see, what I could tell they were all very similar. Obviously you can see the two of them are identical, but yeah, they're going to come into traffic here as they come to the white flag and possibly the white flag. Yeah, no, just going to get the move over flag.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Here come the leaders. And just topping 120 miles an hour as they cross the strip. And next time round, I think you'll see that white flag.
On themselves an extra lap by getting there underneath that little limit there, but a little bit of dust being kicked up there on that first apex of the Andretti hairpin.
Well, now the marshals are going to come into play because they're going to have to do their flagging well because these guys are moving fast through the group and coming up to back markers. As you can see, they're coming up on the Corvette now.
I see some slight differences in the bodywork from the 75 to the 76, just in the nose there, that a quick glimpse that we saw there. But I would imagine maybe some even slighter upgrades in the engine compartment. Porsche being a brand and a marquee that never really rested on their laurels, so you could imagine that they didn't sit there just happy that they were a fast race car in that year, probably dominant race car in that year, but they want to come back and make sure that they keep that dominance. Rob Fuller, he's running P5 there, that 1972 Datsun 240Z.
Interestingly, back when Ned Bacon's car was running in the day, it was driven by the likes of George Follmer and Milt Minter, so it's
had some hot
shoes in it, yeah. 35 seconds to go, but a doozy of a race as they come down the corkscrew one more time. A couple of Datsuns and the 49 who had pole position or front row start yesterday. And that's the 240 of Rob Fuller.
Yeah, he's running a very respectable 5th position. We got the white flag being shown right here to our top 3 as they buzz down. Now this is when all bets are off.
The race is on, as they say.
Seeing a very defensive line being pulled here by Martin.
Come on, boys, let's take it around. I love to see this. Laguna's the perfect place to go racing. Come on, racing driver next to me. Where are you going to go in the 37 and make your move?
So you're going to have to try and get a run here, between maybe 4 and 5. But really the most important thing is to make sure that run down the hill. You want to take advantage of turns 11 and 12. Those are going to be your best opportunity. That's where we tend to see most of our dramatic passes. You can see that the defensive line was put on there between turns 4 and 5 because that's another really good spot to go past. Between 5 and 6, it's pretty tough here. This is a pretty high-speed corner. He's being very defensive, Martin is, though, no matter what. And then if he really is gets a run up this hill, It's a very risky move at the top of the hill for Ned Bacon to make that, and I wouldn't see that coming. But this traffic could...
this could come into play.
This could make a huge,
They're just going to hit at the top, aren't they? At the apex, they're going to go right
when you don't want to.
Yeah,
right
this
when
is
you
not
don't
what
want
they
to.
needed. At least they got a little room before Rainey to get past him, and they've done just that.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty good for Martin actually to get that gap, because he was able to get to the apex cleaner than what Ned would be in turns 10 there, Wayne Rainey. But going through 11, this looks like it's going to be all Martin. Bring him to the line, Jonathan.
Yep, here we come into 12 here at Laguna Seca, Group 7, and a great run. Look at this. Line astern. They come. Martin Lauber, Ned Bacon, and Alan Turpins. Coming across the line at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Take the checkered flag. And it is the 64, Martin Lauber, winning. Ned Bacon won yesterday, so it's all fair in love and war. But it's a Porsche 123, the RSR, and 911 from 76, 75, and likewise Turpin's in a 75 RSR. Well done, Martin. Congratulations.
I thought for sure that Ned Bacon was going to make that dot. Oh, he really shoved it in there. Barely got it well down in time to not have any kind of contact. But great driving between Martin, Ned, and Alan. Your podium here from Group 7.
Brian Purcell taking 4th place. Rob Fuller 5th. Jim Farola in 6th place. Eric Joyner taking 7th place. He'll be happy with that.
Yes, he will.
Ernie Spader in 8th. Jeff Francis in 9th. And Ransom Webster in 10th position.
With any luck, who knows? Maybe an Eric Joyner comes and visits us again today.
Well, we did ask. Anybody's welcome, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Come and tell us, regale us with your stories. Ooh, that Triumph TR8 had a photo finish too for his finish. Let's see where he finished. So that is in the books. Group 7. Great stuff. Now, as you know, yesterday we had Stefan Johansson, who is a fabulous human being in a fantastic racing driver as well. And he is here this weekend, and he is down in the paddock with Kiri.
Well, yeah, you do join us in a slightly different location here with Stefan Johansson. Now, Stefan, you are one of the legends of the past, but you're also recreating a whole new future of art for us.
Yes, well, I'm trying. Well, I've been, in fact, painting for many years, but I've never made a lot of fuss about it. It's just been like something I do in my private time. But now I feel like I'm ready to show it to the world, if you like. So I've been... The last 6 years since I stopped driving, in fact, I've been pretty much fully focused on my art, yeah.
Do you find it very relaxing?
Yeah, it is actually. It's very therapeutic, and it's, I mean, in some ways it's a little bit similar to driving when you're really in the zone, and everything's kind of like a solitude almost, so you get in that space when, which everything kind of just flows, in a nice, beautiful way. So it takes a little while to get into that stage with the art, but when it does, it's great.
Yeah, well, certainly fabulous. I know the hat that you're wearing, and we saw Scott Dixon, I know Adam was mentioning that yesterday. Yeah. The mask he was wearing is all about the art. What is the latest piece that you've created?
Well, all these pieces in here, in fact, in the driver's lounge are the latest style that I'm doing with this sort of pointillism, if you like, where I incorporate, some of my old cars and some of the cars that's here this weekend, and, sort of try to combine the two in a kind of a little bit different way, I suppose, that hopefully our people will appreciate.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you come from an era of Formula One that I don't think will ever be forgotten, driving for Ferrari and McLaren. What are your big standout moments first from Formula One that will always stay with you?
Well, I don't know if it's one particular moment, but I think just to be blessed to drive in that era which I think is probably the best era in terms of the cars, because the cars were just insane, basically, but from a driver's point of view, they were thrilling to drive. And then obviously being hired by Enzo Ferrari personally is, I think every driver's dream in a way. So, that obviously always stands out.
Well, I was talking to Mika Hakkinen earlier, and I said, well, you've pretty much lived every young boy's dream. I think you've also done the same with the cars that you drove, winning Le Mans in a Porsche. We've just seen some of the Ford Le Mans winning cars out on track. What are your memories from Le Mans?
Oh, I mean, I love Le Mans. I've done it 18 times, and I was lucky to win it overall and in my class a few times. So, But of course you want to win, but even if you don't win and you just finish, it's such a achievement, and it's because it's an absolute grind, the whole race, but in a good way. I mean, it's and it brings out the best and the worst in everybody, I think, and the track is unbelievably challenging, and it's one of the few tracks left, I think, where you have to every lap you have to like really just dig a bit deeper to get the speed out of the car, and that's what every driver craves, I think.
Yeah, I bet. Well, as you head through the night, you are in a state of delirium.
Yeah.
Are there moments that you can remember? I know people talk about the heightened senses, smelling barbecues and fires. Are there moments that you can really take away from there?
Yeah, well, all of that, and then, you got the big Ferris wheel, and it's just, but it's the build-up too, because you're there the whole week. You got that whole thing downtown, where you almost put yourself to death sitting on these old vintage cars and breathing the fumes in the parade for a couple of hours, and but it's all tradition and it's lovely, it's part of the whole experience there, I think.
All right, well, you're a second-hand at IndyCar as well. We saw Pato Award out in Mika Häkkinen's car. What did you make of that? He came out dripping with sweat and quite overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it, unfortunately, but I bet he would be, around here for sure, yeah. But it's great. I mean, it's great to hear those cars too. I mean, the engine sounds beautiful.
All right, amazing, Stefan. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to hand over to Kevin right now.
Well, as a reporter, I have to tell you, it doesn't get any better than this. I am in the nerve centre of McLaren Formula One here at the Velocity Invitational this weekend, where it is all going on. We've got corporate rides happening here. Mika Häkkinen just about to take somebody out in a two-seater there. That is a 2012 car of Lewis and Jensen, but just across the way as well. McLaren have done a fantastic job of bringing some great cars this weekend, including Mika's 1998 winning car that's just here. But one man who is having the time of his life and has made all of this possible is Zach Brown. And he's just sending himself out onto the track once again in the 2012 car that was run by Lewis and Jensen. A phenomenal livery on both of those. The 2011 is just sitting across the way there, and the 2012 is there. The silver and the red of the Vodafone era of McLaren is just unmissable. You simply can't fail to recognise those. And Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren, is no slouch behind the wheel of a car, let me tell you. And he's been having, I think, more fun than anyone this weekend. He's racing sports cars and he's racing Formula One cars, and he's just getting set to go just across the way over there. And this is where it's at, and this is what the Velocity Invitational is all about. And the great thing is, as Mika Häkkinen is just across the way, getting set with his corporate ride in a two-seater 1998 MP4, all the mechanics that are in here are the mechanics that were working on the cars in that era. So when you come into a garage like this at the Velocity Invitational, not only are you getting a sense of the cars, but you're also getting a sense of what was going on in the day. And the man that's made it all possible is just moving around behind me, Jeff. I'm just going to go and grab Jeff O'Neill. Jeff, just a quick word. I'm coming to you, sir. We're live on the live stream all around the World Wide Web right now. How good has it been having McLaren Formula One come down to Velocity Invitational this weekend?
Oh my gosh, it's been incredible. McLaren brought their entire team from England. They brought 5 incredible Formula One cars. Mika Häkkinen's right here. Driving a number of these cars. It's just been outstanding. I mean, the support we've gotten and the interest in Formula One is just overwhelming.
Yeah, it really has been, and I just said a moment or two ago that one man who's having a whole lot of fun is the man that made it all possible, Zach Brown, as he's strapping himself into a 2012 McLaren F1 car out front. We can just hear it revving up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can't wait to see Zach on the track, and hopefully we'll get a couple of more cars out there, and we'll be ready to roll.
All right, well, we'll hand back to Johnny and Adam in the booth, because, Jeff, you're probably, I know, chomping at the bit to get behind the wheel of something as well. So, Adam and Johnny, back to you. Zach Brown about to go live here at Laguna Seca in a 2012 McLaren F1 car. It doesn't get any better than this in the California sunshine. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
I get the feeling Kev Harris is enjoying himself.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
I don't think we should have ever allowed him, even though it was only a cycle car, I don't think we should have ever allowed him near the wheel of a race car, small as it might be.
Oh, it's over now, yeah. But I mean, I think that's
Small
probably
beginnings.
I think that's probably the most jealous you and I have ever been of him. You know, he's right on the gearbox of that MP427. Zach Brown's getting ready to go take on out for a spin, and also right behind that MP498T, which is that two-seater that he's behind, and then Mika's car, the MP413. But yeah, these are all just beautiful, beautiful renditions of the car, and I think my favorite, honestly, on this page is the MP426 from 2011. I just really, really love the side pods on that and where they located the intake for that. But Zach is taking off from pit road here.
You know he's going to be going on YouTube when he's got Ricciardo complaining about the fact that he didn't finish a race or something like that, you know, and say, hey, don't mess with me.
Do you think he wants me to put a stopwatch on?
I think he should. Absolutely. But maybe not to broadcast the time. We'll tell him quietly.
No. We'll be private. Although he's going to get the real data off the race car. Just like, although my thumb was pretty good. I was pretty dead on target with Pat Award's time.
Yeah, you were. So this is the CEO from United Autosports originally, and of course still running United Autosports, but the CEO of McLaren, Zach Brown, not in Brazil this weekend, where his team is racing in Formula One currently, and fighting Ferrari for the third overall position, which is pretty mighty when you think about it, given where McLaren were a few years ago with Fernando Alonso and a few others at the time, not going where they should have been. But they're back, and a lot of that is down to Zach's revamp of the team. Andreas Seidel coming from Porsche and doing what you'd expect him to do, which is turn around the team.
Absolutely, and I tell you, this is see him out here in this version of this car. It's got the right sound, and you know that he's out there just giving it his all and having a ball out there. This is a big day. He had that big grin on his face when he said, "I'm going to get in the F1 car later this afternoon."
I mean, you know, like you say, you knew him the day before he was, you know.
Yeah, Zach Brown's track attack. You saw the look on his face when I brought that up. He's been around this a long time, very passionate about this, and it's been, I'm talking, when I say Zach Brown's track attack, that was a business that he had started over probably right around 30 years ago, and, so he grew everything in his business into where he is today. From that basis, that's the only question I really didn't get to ask him, while he was up there is what are some lessons that he learned in those early days of business there in Indianapolis, and running the Zach Brown's track attack that he actually carries over even into today.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Americans have shied away from being in what was called the Piranha tank because it is a pretty tough environment. And you got to have your wits about you to be in Formula One as a businessman, and as a driver too. But that side of it, that putting the team together, spending $400 or $500 million of somebody else's money usually, and making it work, no mean feat.
No.
And even McLaren have had to restructure their finances in the last 2 years just to be able to do what they're doing and get in a position. So we've got 2 corners to go. I'll get you on the stopwatch in a moment. But Zach Brown at the wheel of his own McLaren, once driven by Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button. To much success, I may add. Oh, what a sound.
That is a hell of a sound.
Yeah, I have to say I do long for the days.
Love to have that back, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's so much to love about modern Formula One and the speed of the cars, and it's the most horsepower they've had in quite some time. And but that's a good look at the exhaust there. Camera footage getting really good shot at the back end of the Coandra effect exhaust off the back end of the side pods, because the FIA made them move the exhaust forward, the exhaust outlets forward, so that they couldn't take as much of an advantage to get into the blown rear diffuser. So they started to use the Coandra effect there. It's a really good shot at that.
Yeah, Lewis took, Lewis and Jenson took 8 pole positions. Hamilton took 8 pole positions and won 7 of the season's 20 races, including Hamilton's final win for McLaren when he returned to the US Grand Prix at COTA.
And these are the demo tires. That was something fascinating also to hear, because obviously they can't run, a competition tire. That would be against the rules, Formula One rules, the FIA rules. So
even at a circuit that isn't a Formula One
exactly,
circuit.
no, because they can gather data.
Yeah.
It's all about data.
How'd he go?
Well, he's gaining time. He's a long shot from Pat O'Ward. That was a 124.5.
That's nothing to be sniffed at.
No.
But what fun. I wonder if I don't know if you can enjoy it when you're,
What's amazing, though, is that Kevin Zinger car that Kev Harris interviewed Kevin about that he designed here in Southern California, it did a lap time stick raceway of a 125.4. And that's pretty incredible. When you think about it, that's really the Formula One car speed.
Yeah, another part of this, you heard Kevin mention it just a moment ago, but all the guys that helped Mika to his title in the car, the 98 car, are here helping him again run this demo time. And so that's it. And this goes into the Jeff O'Neill prerogative of having it as it was. Even the computers that were used and plugged into these cars are period, if you will, and that sounds strange to talk about period with something so modern, but if they certainly aren't putting modern stuff or extra stuff on it, or they're using exactly what was used in the day, from data collection to computers to starting it up to everything else. So, and it's something that the McLaren Technical Center is quite au fait with, because they run their something like 200 heritage cars. And they too regularly start them up and go through the cycle, if you will, of keeping them fettled, as I like to say. That distinctive silver and Vodafone colours is one that I'll remember. I hate the back wing, not a fan of that. It's too small, but I'm glad we've got a much wider wheelbase now and bigger wheels and finally a proper rear tail.
Yeah, no, they're definitely. I think. And I'm really excited to see the next generation of Formula One car too, because I think they're going to be even much more aesthetically pleasing. But I love some aspects of this era car. I just really I dig the fact that they didn't have the massive amount of barge boards coming off the side of it. Yeah, the subtleties right there. I really enjoyed being for that. But it's and now as Pat O'Ward and we were talking at lunch, he was just, the cars are so big. I mean, a modern Formula One car that raced at Interlagos today, that's like the footprint of a Suburban.
Yeah.
I mean, that's massive when you think about a race car.
Yeah, and I think the plan is to have McLaren back here. They're heading towards their 55 years young. The Formula One team started in 1966, and
hey, we're just talking about you.
We were just talking about the man himself. Just as we mention his name, we're doing a favor for you. Pato O'Ward, Patricio O'Ward, coming in here from San Antonio and Mexico, and a fine IndyCar driver who's been out there in these cars today. Thanks for coming in, Pato. I know you're busy.
Oh, thanks for having me.
But the boss is out there. How's he doing? We've clocked him. We won't tell you but we'll tell you in a moment what we clocked him at. We clocked you at 110.
Okay, not too bad. I think I was nowhere near the limit of one or two corners for sure. I mean, man, in turn 4, turn 6, and a bit on the brakes. The problem with these cars, they have so much to offer, but if you go over the line, the thing will bite.
Yeah.
So you have to be. Specifically whenever it's not my car, so
yeah, and he is the boss after all.
Yeah, so
you don't want to put your bet at risk.
Yeah.
You won that bet fair and square. You don't want that to go at risk with a false move.
No, it gets me even more pumped for that.
In all seriousness, we saw you at lunch. Tell the audience, tell the world what you experienced.
I think it's phenomenal what. You see the Formula One cars now, right? They're bigger, they're heavier, they have more power, the engine's different, but you see the 98, the Mika's car that I drove today, and it looks so much more simple, but the thing flies, man. It's mental. It's 550 kilos, and the thing
That is
pulls,
so light.
and it breaks, it turns, it's so nimble. Oh.
Did Mika give you any advice, or just send it? Pato, just send it.
He said, "Hey, you know, be careful. It's gonna be bitey." And I said, yes, okay, Mika." And I just went out, and I honestly I got to the reference points that I remember from IndyCar, but I didn't want to go over. But it's more than capable of going way faster for sure.
Spoken like a smart racer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're gauging where you're at and what we're here to do, and it's not to set the world on fire. And trust me, you more than impressed everyone here when we got out there in that car, and we know that you're a star of the future, and what you got ahead of you is a lot more further than what we're going to do right here today. That shows a real strong head on your shoulders.
You know, Pato, we were just talking to a young female driver, Jessica Hawkins, who's here. We were saying that, you know, the road to Indy and the road to Formula One is structured, but it isn't in everybody's case. You're a good example. You did just give us a sort of potted history, because you did Super Formula, you were in GP2, you did it all.
Yeah, I mean, man, I've had a roller coaster of a journey, freaking roller coaster, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Yeah. I've met so many great people. I've been to so many great events, driven amazing cars, but I gotta say the one today has topped my list currently. The one I drive in at the end of December might be the top of my list again, but it's crazy. Like, you know, when people speak of Formula One, but then you get to drive a Formula One car, and specifically this one that was very successful in its age, it's just crazy. Like, they're pieces of art, and the car just does everything well. Yeah, I mean, I adored it today, man. It was so space.
Was there
so
anything
cool.
you didn't expect that suddenly went, wow, I never thought of that?
So the IndyCar has 750 horsepower. I was not expecting to feel such a big difference in just speed, like coming off the corners, whop, whop, whop. But you know, I know why, is because it just weighs so much less. I mean, man, it's 550 kilos. The IndyCar is now like 885 kilos.
Big
like, I mean, it's a massive difference, and you can tell. But the noise.
And a naturally aspirated.
I can't even. Yeah, I don't even want to begin with the noise, man. It's phenomenal.
Well, okay, we'll let you judge the boss. He can't hear us right now, so we'll give you a hint. We reckon about 124 he does.
Come on, Zach. No, I think he's knackered, man. I know he's a bit sore.
No kidding.
Well, you know, these things are very physical. How physical was the Formula One car around a rather physical layout here?
You know what is the worst is the neck.
Yeah.
Your head. I mean, man, for example, coming into turn 2, like down the hill, my reference point was the 2 marker, which is 200 feet, right, in here in America. But I think we were hitting 188, 189 miles an hour at the end, and we were going from 189 to probably 40 or 50 in, 150 feet?
Right.
But your body's going, 189, and the thing just stops suddenly, right? So, like, you feel it in the back of your head, your spine, the cornering, like turn 9 after the corkscrew. That's probably the one that's most savage on your neck.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the big stretcher there.
Yeah,
big stretcher there.
But yeah, man, it's amazing what these cars can do.
That's
like,
the coolest chiropractor on the planet. Is that
yeah,
thing. It's going to stretch you out like that.
Oh yeah. These things bend the laws of physics.
Yeah. Listen, I know this is a bit of a fun weekend for you, but I got to ask you one serious question. I've followed your career, and obviously there was a lot of talk at COTA about Colton Herta and possibly Michael Andretti going into Formula One. What about your thoughts? I know as a young man, and you still are, but you were on the path to Formula One. Are you still thinking in the back of your head, if that opportunity came and it was right, that you'd go?
Oh, I'm taking it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's right now IndyCar, and I want to win McLaren's first championship in IndyCar for Zach and for the whole group, because at the end of the day, they're the guys that gave me the chance, you know, and we've been having great runs in IndyCar, and I think we're we're not where we will be. You know, we're working hard and we're trying to do the best to get a better package for both me and Felix next year to fight for the title again. But you know, so far it's been a great run, and this dream starts off with Formula One, and that's just something you'll never get rid of. I mean, it starts off with Formula One, and whenever the doors can open and there's an opportunity, then you take it, man. I mean, there's many circus. You know, like I call it. You know, I call the series like IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One. You know, there's many types of circus, but there's only one Big Daddy, and there's 20 seats, and there's millions of people trying to do the same thing.
But you strike me as the kind of guy that, a bit like Fernando, you go, oh, you know what, I wouldn't mind having a go at Le Mans. Oh, I wouldn't mind doing some.
Oh yeah, man, anything I can drive, put me in. Put me in, coach.
Well, go on then. What iconic race would you like to do?
Le Mans. I want to win Le Mans. I'm already doing the 500. I want to win that.
He wants the Triple Crown.
Yeah, I want the Triple Crown, man. No one's been able to do it. So
Montoya doesn't look as though he's going to get there. Fernando's not going to get there.
So I wanna try and see if I can if I can achieve it. You know,
dream big and manifest it.
I mean, it's you know, it's right now. I'm allows me to get 1 out of the 3. So try and do that. Once I do that, then I can close, you know, that early chapter in my IndyCar career. Maybe then go try Formula One, win some races there. Hopefully, in one of those will be Monaco, and then Le Mans, man. I mean, in a perfect world, that's what I'd love. But you know that life throws things at you that you.
But like he says, dream and manifest it. I love it.
And Aero McLaren SP, I got to say, between you and Felix, it's one of the nicest driver pairings in the paddock. You guys are a bright, light to a wonderful paddock already in IndyCar. But I think you two are two of the kindest drivers. I've seen you work with the fans. I've seen how you've been with all the press and the way. Most importantly, how you treat your team and those around you and that support you, that goes a long way. And I'm a big fan of both what you and Felix do, and I wish you guys all the best. Even though, obviously, my heart's always Andretti Autosport. I mean, that's my cousin Michael, so I always got to, my heart's always going to be there with him. But I do appreciate everyone that's in that paddock, and I really appreciate what you and Felix specifically bring to the paddock.
Thanks, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the people. We're the ones that drive the machines, but you need people to prepare them and to set them up and to give you the tools in order for you to get the championships you want and the race wins you need. So yeah,
I echo that about Felix. I spent a lot of time with him at Macau. He had so much success there, and
I love him.
Great gentleman.
Great guy.
He's such a neat guy.
Yeah, I love him.
I mean, scary stuff there at Detroit. I mean, I was genuinely just so worried because that was such a weird deal, such a freak deal to happen to him, for the brake bias control to come out and hang it. You get a hung throttle and zero brakes all at once. I mean, that just doesn't happen in our sport, and did a great job.
You've been listening to Pato O'Ward, who's been entertaining us royally, both here in the booth and on the track, driving for the boss at McLaren. He, of course, is the Arrows McLaren driver in IndyCar and is going for the title, folks, next year. And he came very close this year, but he's going to be going for the Triple Crown. I love that ambition. Let's head down to the pits and talk to Kiri.
Well, you join us once again on Velocity Lane. This time it's the IMSA and Group C cars from 1982 until 1990. Now, of course, the IMSA was the sports car version in America, and then the Group C was that very, very popular category in Europe. We've got one of the Porsches. Now, Porsche ran across both categories in the US and the UK and is possibly the most successful sports car of all time in terms of racing. What you're looking at now is car number 33. Well, that's a Chevrolet, so that is an IMSA car there. That is a real machine, isn't it? Loving the livery on that. All right, now we come down to car number 8 as well, which is a Chevrolet. So we'll have a look at car number 8 in the white there, giving us a wave. I know they can't hear us in there. And then what a name for the last car on our grid, car number 53. It's a Firebird from 1984, giving us the nod. These cars are going to enjoy it out there. Now, just a few cars. I did say we had a Porsche in here. We were going to have a Porsche out on the lineup, but we don't actually have it. But you can see the IMSA cars in full force. Johnny and Adam, I think it's about time that I hand over to you as they head out onto track.
Thanks, Kiri. Yeah, looking forward to it. And as always, there's Wally Dollenbach Jr., a famous name. The Dollenbachs talk about the Andrettis and the Unzers and the Ray Halls. Well, the Dollenbachs are just as famous in American racing. And great to see. I see Mike Dollenbach all the time. Jake used to work with me in Trans Am, and Wally's in and out. Now, as these cars get ready to go out, let's head down to the pit lane again. And Wayne Rainey, who lives just across the way, it is at his home track, three-time World MotoGP 500cc World Champion, is with Kev. Kev, down to you.
Lovely, thanks Johnny. I am indeed down here with the main man himself, the legend that is Mr. Wayne Rainey, an absolute gent. Wayne, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. We're sitting in the glorious California sunshine. You got a great Moto America display.
Well, the weather's always like this, especially here at Laguna Seca, but yeah, it's been a great event, and to be able to bring out the Moto America bikes and show the fans just what it's all about, because most of the fans here are probably here to see the F1 car, so
yeah, it's really cool. And I'll tell you what, you got the riders down there. I was just chatting to Billy Fong. What a nice guy, super friendly, and the fans are getting a real Moto America experience. And Moto America is in rude health. You're now in your 8th season, I believe, and it's just a great series.
Yeah, it's going great. You know, we signed a new series title sponsor, and you know, the sport's growing tremendous. You know, we're on Fox Sports, and we have 7 classes. We have over 240 entries at each race. A lot of outside sponsorship are coming in. It's really helping the teams, helping the sport. So it's a great time to be a part of Moto America.
And in the off-season at the moment, a lot of planning going on for next year and next season, and something that is very much part of the plans are the baggers that are back there, the Harleys with the side pods. They're causing quite a stir, and they are the real deal.
Well, you can call them side pods, but we actually call them baggers.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a phenomenon. You know, there's like 7.4 million registered baggers in the U.S. And so when I saw a photo of these bikes, and I thought we should get them out here just to put on a show for the fans, just for some entertainment. But with that came Indian and Harley, and there's a massive rivalry there. So it's pure hard racing. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is. And I was, chatting to, your guys yesterday. This is not something that is just like an exhibition event. This is here to stay. It's proper racing. It's going to get built, and it's going to get good.
Oh, for sure. You know, both Indian and Harley are, they want to tweak the rules the way that they want them. Yeah. Us being Moto America, we just want them close on the track. So you know you're doing something right when you got both manufacturers not happy with the rules. Yeah. But on the track, they're within 0.2 of a second. Each manufacturers won 2 races apiece. Yeah. So next year we're going to start the season at Daytona Beach on the banks at Daytona.
Baggers on the banks, is that what it is?
On the banks, that's
right.
And
it's all about king of the baggers at the end of the season?
King of the baggers for sure. So, yeah, we're going to run, we have 7 races. So it's a proper series. You know, we're going to have over 20 of these baggers out there at each event that they race at. But, you know, they have Olin suspension, Brembo brakes, Dunlop slick tires. They weigh 625 pounds. But when you see them going around the track, they look pretty nimble.
Yeah, and we have seen them go around the track here yesterday, and I believe they've already been out today as well. What's the reaction been like from the fans here at Laguna Seca?
Yeah, they didn't know that baggers could actually go around the track, but what really surprised everybody is when they saw how fast the bikes were, the super bikes, accelerating out of that last turn up to over 150 mile an hour before the start line bridge. That really got their attention. You know, that and, the motorcycle riders, they're so exposed. So when they go through the corners, you can see that they're dragging their knees and their elbows, and it's really exciting for the fans, especially when the riders are side by side.
Well, listen, Wayne, I can hear cars are out on track right now, and Johnny and Adam are waiting to talk about those, but thank you ever so much for taking the time to talk to us once again. Best of luck with the baggers, and best of luck with Moto America.
All right, thank you very much.
Johnny and Adam, it's back to you, I think, with some IMSA GT cars. Johnny and Adam, it's back to you, I think, with some IMSA GT cars.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Kev. Thank you, Wayne. My old boss, Wayne Rainier, used to work at Moto America, and I'm so pleased for him. He's worked very, very hard, and he had a distinguished career. Of course, a 3-time 500cc motorbike champion, taking on the likes of Schwantz, Eddie Lawson, and, of course, coming after the great King, Kenny Roberts. No mean feat. But he did it in style, and now continues to use his acumen and sheer presence of brilliance to inspire these young motorcycle riders to join the championship and bring back superbike racing to its prominence of old. Group 8, race 2, 82 to 90, IMSA GTP, GTP-L, and FIA Group C and Group C2. Looking forward to this, and we had a good run yesterday. Out is the number 99 into the lead. And that's the Toyota Eagle Mark 111 GTP, the American racing car. Charles Nurberg at the wheel. And the 1991 AAR Eagle GTP chassis 004, designed and built by Dan Gurney's team, the All-American Racers team. And like I said, it was Juan Manuel Fangio II saying it had excellence of balance, the chassis 004. Fangio drove this chassis in 23 races, claiming victory in 14 of them, 6 of which were consecutive, 92 to 93. 12 hours of Sebring, both times co-driving with Andy Wallace, another fairly fantastic peddler, I may add. And as a show of gratitude, chassis 004 was subsequently gifted to Fangio II by Toyota. Nice story.
Very nice story. Yeah, no, very nice story.
Small field this, but again, you know, an iconic time for both IMSA and these types of cars, and no mean feat to drive these. These are a handful, if you will. David Donohue at the wheel of this, number 10. And a shout out to my buddy Dave O'Neill, former Marussia, Jordan and Haas team manager, and preparing this car today. Hoping he might come up after this race. But David Donohue at the wheel. We heard Kev talk to him earlier about this car. He won Daytona back in the day, 95, and beautiful Porsche, Kramer Porsche. Another, you know, you talk about used Porsches, Kramer Porsches, almost just as significant.
Absolutely, that car looks very similar, right, to the RS Spider that Penske put out not too many years ago that we saw the captain himself drive at Goodwood Festival Speed this year. So it's got that really good that look of that car, but obviously, yeah, very successful. And the Creamer Group was synonymous with building that, you know, that great power.
There's the Camaro, 33. Rockland. So like I said, a small group this, but some interesting cars all the same.
Small but mighty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, small but mighty.
Have you ever thought of sports car? I mean, you know, most of the family have had a run at sports cars. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, of course. You know, everything is about, in our sport, is driven by funding and driven by, you know, those kind of opportunities with that as well. And I'm like Pat O'Ward, you know, put me in, coach. I'll take the opportunity. And but they got to be the right opportunities, and you want to make sure that you're calculated with those. I have had sports car opportunities that I've taken, and they weren't the right ones. And I think again, by picking the wrong ones, I didn't get better opportunities past that. So
yeah, no, it's important. It's a fine art, isn't it?
You got to be very calculated, absolutely, with those decisions you make.
Well, that car that Bill Auckland is pedaling around is the Chevrolet Duracell Camaro from 1991, 33, and this is the number 8. And this is the Chevrolet Protofab Camaro Z28, 1986, originally raced by Wally Downback and Greg Pickett, two names you'll know very well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that Protofab group was the same group that took Gar Robinson to his most recent 2 championships in Trans Am and TA2.
He had a good night last night, too.
Yeah, Jimmy Frazier and that gang over there. So yeah, that's a car that I know kind of well just by the stories I've heard from the guys that actually built that car, like Jimmy Frazier, and you have Norm and Dave and Ross. And
shout out to Stu, there he is, having a good time.
Stu on his perch.
Stu, I've got your stickers, don't worry. 9 minutes left on this, and as you see, the Toyota is gone. No real race this, but we can enjoy it all the same.
Oh yeah, he's definitely taken off and left the rest of the field here.
Like I was saying yesterday, I wasn't aware of Gurney's sort of involvement at this level of sports cars, as much so, historically anyway.
Now the entry has Charles Neerberg, that might be the owner of it, but I do believe on timing and scoring it has Rob Kaufman as our leader.
That's right.
Of the race here.
That's right. Well, we had that discussion last night, didn't we?
AAR Toyota Eagle. Yes, sir, we did.
So I'm guessing it is him. Kaufman, that is. What a wonderful afternoon it's turned out, and it's great to have people like Pato just popping into the booth, and unknowns like Jessica, right, relatively so. But also, like she said, you said the right thing, which is, look at Pato's career. Well, that's why I wanted him to talk about it a little bit. Don't think that you have to do everything in the order, the cookie cutter order of racing. It doesn't work that way.
No, everyone's different. Everyone's got a different path. I mean, my path has been way off of where the rest of my family has had to get to their point in their careers of racing. It's just, you follow your path, you follow your heart, you follow what your drive is, and you'll get there if you don't give up on it. What most people fail at is following through and keep persevering. And that's what you love to hear about Jessica's story, is when things came tough, she figured out a way to find to earn the money to go race. It wasn't about earning money to keep a roof over the head. It was earning enough money to keep a roof over your head and also to be able to go race. So those are, you love that kind of ambition. I see bright things ahead. Obviously for Patricio Award, I mean, obviously we all see that. That's a star in the making. But Jessica, who is the relatively, like you said, an unknown, if you will, she's got a bright future too. And I think she knows that, and but she's also humble. She's got a good head on her shoulders, and she's not there pounding her own chest and saying that, hey, look at me. She's going to do it with her performances, and I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Well, we had a great discussion at VIR with yourself and Al Unser Jr. and I was talking and asking both of you about the advantages and disadvantages in racing coming in with a famous name. Doesn't matter what part of the family you're from, people's expectations are different. When you're a Schumacher, when you're a Marco Andretti, when you're a Adam Andretti, when you're a John Andretti, or and so on. It's tough.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think anyone holds the expectations as high as we hold for ourselves. I mean, you watch, we're all super impressed with the laps that Patricio turned today, and you talk to him though, he wasn't all that impressed. Like I could, but you don't want to overstep, if you listen to him, he left so much on the table in his mind, so we put ourselves under enough pressure, for, I think little Al said it best, you just wanted to go do the best job and make those around you proud, but really do the best job for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're who has to look at yourself in the mirror, and you want to make sure that you didn't leave anything on the table. I love that, spitting the flames out of the exhaust on the downshift.
Well, talking of which, here's Mark Donohue's kid. David Donohue's had a very productive career himself, and as you can see, a handy driver himself.
Absolutely, again, and the bigger the shadow is, the tougher it is to make your own shadow. So, and then for him, his is a totally different situation where he's very, very young when his father passed, and but he lives with that legacy, right? But not knowing a whole lot about the legacy in the sense that he didn't get to experience much of it with his father. So, he has a totally different experience. But love David Donohue in many ways. He's a great person. We talk about that a lot. It's important to be a great person outside of the cockpit, and he is certainly one of those. And also a handy little, as Jonathan Green would say, a handy little peddler.
No, sorry, that's a very English expression.
Handy little peddler.
A handy little peddler. So the 1995 Porsche Kramer K8, a Daytona winner in 1995. and in the hands of David Donahue, rolling around here in second place. A long way behind that Toyota, but it doesn't matter a jot.
700 horsepower you're going to find out of that little Porsche engine, so it's definitely putting out the power output. Right, when you talk about 700 horsepower, which these two cars also have, these two, if you will, stock cars, they're like GT cars, GTO cars. So if you have those, when you look at those, they're similar horsepower, but they weigh almost a third more than what you find in that prototype. Under 4 minutes to go with Group 8 here. I noticed that Zach must have not. Maybe he was a little tuckered after his Formula One drive, because he did not get in the Lancia LC2. Although there's good excuses with that car lot quite often. It doesn't seem to run quite as much as it does not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sadly the Lancia LC2 not on display today. We tried to get it out. Zach was going to run it, but didn't. It just didn't come. I don't know what the mechanical issue was, but there was some sort of thing with it. As we look at the Chevrolet Proto Fab Camaro Z28, and on camera now the Chevrolet Duracell Camaro from 1990. Small field, but a good one.
It is a good one. Small but mighty.
And I know it was good to see Jeff O'Neill. By the way, it was Jeff O'Neill who brought Pato up here. So
that's right.
He is doing the business. He's racing the cars. He's organising the event, and he's doing PR.
He brought Zach up here too.
Yeah, he's doing PR for Formula One and IndyCar drivers. Love it.
Yeah, it is.
Hats off to you.
Fantastic. Yeah, he's.
There's no snooty nose sitting in the bar drinking wine.
No, he's definitely a promoter. Definitely a promoter.
Good. Really good. Well, this is early days for this event. This is only the second time for this Invitational, and I think it's got a huge future. I was talking to some ladies who are around motorsport. They've been to Monaco, they've been to everything, and they love the way and the approach with the picket fences and the asphalt.
Were these the young ladies you were charming at lunch?
That was those said ladies, yes.
Yes.
Well, you were talking to racing drivers.
Turning the English charm on. I couldn't help but
we
put
were talking about Stewart Grand Prix.
I had my peripheral hearing on.
Yeah, you saw me chatting away. Bill Auckland has been around this form of racing a long time too. I know that name. I've seen him out there a fair few times.
Yeah, he's running a strong third place. It's hard to keep a close gap with the two prototypes ahead of you when you're inside a GT car. But he's doing a great job. Both of those drivers there, Rick Jeffrey too, holding a pretty wheel.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I remember that Duracell 33 car. That was a mainstay. We saw those almost every IMSA week. You would see that car doing its performance and its history that it built, and that was kind of neat. This was an era that I grew up in. These were cars that were all in my youth, from age 5 to like 11, 12 years old. For this example right here, I was 12 years old, rewriting GTP racing and IMSA, and really it was such a special car to see go do its thing, and with the drivers that it had behind the wheel. It was a fun car to watch, but it absolutely uphanded the dominance of the Porsche 962.
I went back to the hotel last night and I caught the last 40 minutes of Petit Le Mans, the famous final race, if you will, for IMSA. And I just thought, when you start talking about golden ages, we spent most of yesterday talking about some of the golden ages of motor racing. And you always wish you're in a golden age, as we see the white flag waving now for the Toyota as he crosses the line again. But it just made me think, watching IMSA last night and watching Ricky Taylor go head-to-head with Felipe Nasr. I really do feel, with the way Formula One is, with the way Indy is, with the talent of Pato and so many others, I feel I'm pinching myself. It's taken a while, but I feel like I'm experiencing another golden era of great racing at the very best, with some fantastic drivers and some fantastic manufacturers and competition.
Well, it's the old adage, you wish you knew they were in the good old days when you were experiencing them.
Correct.
And you never know. And but yeah, that's a great assumption. I feel the same way. There's
well, Trans Am too.
The amount of talent that we're seeing. I mean, it's and I think we pay tribute. We talked a little bit to Jessica about it, but these simulators are getting so good, and the cars, and even I'm not talking about just the simulators for the drivers. I'm talking about the simulation programs for the chassis setups are getting so good. I mean, you have teams now like in Formula One, IndyCar, top teams in NASCAR, that they have a test team at the shop with a car on a simulated pad called and they're putting in the active conditions that you're in right then, and then they give you an optimum setup that they think is at, and that gets you in that ballpark. And that's why we see all of these cars and all these drivers, even in Formula One where everything is so unique, that the lap times are right on top of each other. And it's because everyone is really using these new simulation programs to make these cars just drive so well, and the drivers are up on their game, and it is really getting to be a great, great time to be a race fan.
You know, I smiled inside when I heard Jessica say that she was going to do some sim work for Aston Martin, and she didn't seem, and I don't want to be unfair to her, but she didn't seem, she's a racing driver, she wants to race cars, but she was like, yeah, I'm going to get to do some sim race, some sims, and I was like, when you think about Brendan Hartley and what he did for Mercedes and, at the time, for Red Bull as well, and now what Gutierrez does, fantastic drivers. And to be honest, that role of simulator driver for Formula One is unbelievable. And there's no question about it that the role of the simulator and the driver that can make a big career. No question about it. So, Jessica, get in that simulator and show them what you got. Now, we've been talking about Zach Brown most of the afternoon. Let's talk to him again.
Love it.
Kev's with him, Dan in the paddock.
Lovely, thanks, Johnny. I have caught up with what is the busiest man in town, Zach Brown. I know, Zach, you've been up in the booth with Johnny and Adam already. They've been chatting to you earlier on. But what people might not realise is that you're here. Obviously, you've got a great display of McLaren cars that you've brought along, huge sponsors of the event. But you're here as a race car driver yourself, and you've just got back in off the track. Tell us what you were driving.
Yeah, it was. It's a great event. We've got some great cars here, and everyone's brought some stunning cars when you look at the paddock. We brought out 4 McLarens, a few of them being actually customer cars, people that are famous inside the paddock here are big car collectors. And so we have an MP426, which was a Lewis Hamilton car that won